Oh, we'll let that fade out nice and easy this week. This is good. Last week, of course, a bomb went off. Well, not literally, but bombs did go off some part of the world, didn't they? But they did at the beginning of the show. It's Thursday again, another fast week. I'm going to have to think of some new opening lines. Episode 129. Welcome to the show, everyone. My tea at the ready. I hope you've got your tea at the ready, or coffee, or whatever is your favourite tipple. Been a beautiful day, but a cup of tea on a cold evening doesn't go amiss, does it? Slurp, slurp, slurp. Well, what a wonderful week it's been for us over here, not getting bombed and everything. Not that I know too much about the bombing, but I know that some bombing apparently is going off. I really hit a point of such cynicism that I don't know whether I believe anything much anymore that I see anywhere. What's that old adage? What are you going to believe, your own eyes or what they say? It's just that they can say so much now, can't they, courtesy of all the mayhem media. One person who says quite a few things is Eric von Essex, and he's here this evening to say a few things. Eric, hello, good evening, welcome to the show.
Greetings. I was actually talking to an Irish friend of mine who said, there's a lot of bombers in the Middle East, all these bombers everywhere. I wondered what he was talking about. And then I realised he was talking about the war. I thought he was talking about, shall we say, people of a different standing, shall we say.
That might be you might have just set a new record. I mean, really, that was really fast. We're only just out of the gate, and already we've moved into a certain area of communication. That's spectacular, actually. Whoa. Fantastic, Eric.
We're talking about good. Bombers, aren't we? All these bombs all going off everywhere, you know. You can't have bombs.
I don't think we are.
Elton John pricked his ears up when he heard that. But anyway, today
welcome everybody to Eric. This is Eric. This is the show. I know regular listeners will know what's going on. It's fantastic. It's all part of growing up and being British, and yes. which is what we like. Anyway, what has your week been like, Eric? Anything particularly arresting on your noggin? Anything of particular interest to you this week?
Before Keir Starmer makes it illegal, I went out to trim my fuchsias today in public. It was actually in my front garden, and my fuchsias normally it's about middle of March I trim them back. Bet they're really early this year. Really surprised. They're actually coming into bud already. So I had to quickly give them a quick trim, you know.
Yeah,
and that was pretty good. But it's beautiful and warm today. And the other good thing, I went up the farm, and the chickens are now laying the eggs. And she said that she had a bucket full this morning. She said, couldn't believe it. She said, they really like the sunshine. That proves that animals do react to the weather, don't they?
Gosh, why? Have they been on strike or something? Had they not been laying eggs for a little while?
They haven't been laying eggs because they had to buy them in because the wet weather. The place they buy them in from couldn't supply them so easily because they're free range, all out in the fields, and they don't lay eggs when it's raining, when it's soaking wet and keeps raining all the time.
That's interesting. I had 4 eggs for lunch yesterday, and I had 4 eggs for lunch today. I'm going to look like Excellent. An egg. Of course, an egg is actually, you say that the sun comes out, but the sun's inside the egg, isn't it? Because it's like a sun inside there. All this lovely, yum, yum.
And the difference between an organic egg and the crap you buy in the supermarket is a world of difference, because you crack an organic egg and the yolk is glutinous. You crack a non-organic egg and it's like water. It goes, runs all over the place. So that's
they do go a bit like that. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I mean, sometimes you get a spectacular box of eggs, don't you? I do.
Yeah.
You suddenly they seem to be extraordinarily bright and vivid. And then I get a bit worried. I think, have they got sort of extraordinarily bright and vivid dye that they put into them or something?
They do, actually,
but then,
yeah.
Yeah,
Seriously,
they probably do.
No, seriously, that's what
Do
that bowler hat farmer said. He said they put something in the feed that makes the
eggs go super yellow.
Yolks, yeah,
Really?
super yellow. Yeah, it's colouring. But I've actually found that when the farm couldn't supply the eggs, I went to Lidl's, and they sell 10 eggs quite reasonably, and they're organic. But I don't touch eggs unless they're organic. Because the difference is so incredible. It really is. You do notice the difference.
Well, anyway, I'm not going to... I like them. I have scrambled eggs quite regularly.
Same here.
I should fry some every now and again because I do like a fried egg, but I'm rubbish at it. I saw a video the other day of a guy using a stainless steel pan and a particular frying technique where it doesn't stick. That's what you want because they're they're a bit of a mare when they're all, you've got all the gunk. And, I've got enough washing up to do as it is, Eric. You should see these hands. They're all wrinkled. I need cream. I mean, what's going on? It's a stress.
The secret is to put some lard in the pan. Vegetarians, please put your fingers in your ears. And then wait until it starts to smoke and then put your egg in. And that will be the right temperature.
Okay.
And I actually use a cast iron one.
Yep.
But what you can do is if you get some porridge oats and about a quarter of a cupful, put some milk of your choice, oat milk or whatever, in it and leave it in the fridge overnight so that the oats soak up all the milk. And then you mix 2 eggs with that in the morning. You will have a very tasty, and you pour it into a pan. You'll have a very tasty pancake. And that's what I do. So it's sort of a pancake come omelette. Yeah. But what I do, you see, I get the pan and I put some baking paper in the pan, frying pan. Then I pour the mixture into the baking paper.
Yeah.
And then when it's almost set, it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. I then turn the paper over, and you get a perfectly cooked sort of omelette whatever. I don't know. It's not an omelette. It's a sort of a pancakey type thing, and of course the oats swell it out a little bit, and it tastes absolutely delicious. So that's what I do.
I like a nice pancake. Yeah, I do them on Saturday mornings. They're a bit of a ritual here. We started doing them about
That's right.
2006 or something like that. Maybe Saturday mornings. Yeah, just there's something about it. And I'm a very good flipper. I love my flip. Everybody says I do a good flip. And we got a tiny little... Anyway, pancakes. They're pretty nice. And that's all jolly. I was just thinking as well about your fuchsias. If you got mistaken about them, would that mean that you were Confucius?
Oh, Confucius say.
You'd be confused, wouldn't you? You'd be confused.
I really would,
If you're confused about it, you'd be Confucius, wouldn't you? Something like that.
It would be Confucius.
What does a fuchsia look like? It's a lovely word. I always keep reading it. I know I'd recognise it if I saw one.
They have they have flowers that sort of, how can I explain it? They hang down, they're red.
Yeah.
They're very pretty. And the fuchsias I've got are about 20 years old, and they're still going quite strongly. And they grow up to about, I don't know, 4 foot, 5 foot high. Yeah. And you trim them back about this time of the year. Normally it's the middle of March I do it, but it's now early March, and they're about 2 weeks ahead.
Yeah.
They are beautiful. You can buy them anywhere. They're as common as dog poo. They really are. You get
Good.
them, or
I'm
chips.
glad they're as common as that. That's a good...
Yes.
I won't forget that. Dennis Falcon's on a similar wavelength to you. Says you've got to keep your bush trimmed. So there you go.
Yes.
And I think, welcome,
right,
Dennis, to the club. Marvellous. Yes. Excellent. Yeah, tremendous.
But we got an extra gentleman in chat tonight. We got his Royal Hanorak coming in.
An extra gentleman? An extra gentleman?
He's just popped in. He says, is there room for an anorak on the show? So
well, there is actually, Mr. Anorak. You can come in. Absolutely. By the way, everybody, we've got a guest rocking up at 9 o'clock who's nearly as important as you, Royal Anorak. Nearly, right?
Me?
Yeah, nearly as important as you. And no, you remember a couple of weeks ago I had Gary Glendale on. Actually, he's been on a couple of times now talking about crypto and all that kind of stuff. This guy has got a fantastic title. And I don't know how we pronounce. I don't know what I call him during the show. I was talking to him earlier today. I had a wonderful chat with him, and I had to cut it off. I said, "Look, this chat's so good. We should have recorded it and put it out. Apart from all the swearing and all the things that are in it that we're not allowed to say on air, it'd have been brilliant. It really would. It was a really good call." But he goes and he knows Mark, the bowler hat farmer. So he is a farmer, but he's also very knowledgeable about crypto. Just the sort of guy that you need if we're going to end up buying wonky carrots with crypto coins, right? I know some of you are still cynical about all this. Don't blame you, to be quite honest. But I still think it's an avenue worth pursuing. That's obviously why I'm pursuing it. Anyway, he's called, this is 4 words, the F is the second word, in farmer. Right, the F in farmer. It's a pretty good handle. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with you because I can't possibly say that on air, although I just have. But anyway, yeah, the F in farmer is going to be with us just after 9 o'clock. And we're going to be talking about a few bits and bobs and things like that. But right now, we are blessed with your presence, Mr. Royal Anorak. How's your week been?
It's been very interesting, very good. Thank you. Yes, it's been, it's a lot of things going on, and it's very busy in general, you know. Work
cool.
And looking after my mom, and I've been down there today to go and see her to make sure she's okay. And no matter what you turn up with, she says, "Oh, I could have done with this." I think, well, sorry, it wasn't on the lorry.
Could she have done with some fuchsias? You could have seen Eric and got some if she needs some fuchsias. Yes. He's got
possibly,
loads.
But I wasn't going to ask her about her bush. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Blimey, this has turned a decidedly dodgy corner, this conversation.
Yes.
Good grief.
Possibly.
And remember, fuchsia say, woman that cooks potatoes and peas in same pot, very unhygienic. So there we go.
Yes, very good. That took a while.
By the way, if you're a new listener, this is how it usually starts off, sort of all over the shop and mayhem. It's as if we've just bumped into each other at the bar and we're just full of piffle and waffle, just like you are, right? Just like you know you are when you meet up with people and all that kind of stuff. I was trying to think if anything important, though, had gone on in the world. Now, we have themes for the show, but we rarely stick to them. I've just got to start off with a starting point. And all wars are bankers' wars. We said it round here loads, and we're just saying it again. I don't think we're necessarily going to sit on the banking theme all night long, although I know we love to do it, but we come back to it so regularly. But I think it's like radio and repetition. We need to really, to some degree. But the ironic thing about that image, it is slightly ironic, I suppose, is that it's from an essay that was turned into a video called All Wars Are Bankers' Wars. It's probably kicking around all over Tinternet right now. It might still be on YouTube. I know they took it off, but I think YouTube seemed to be under instructions to relax things for a period of time, as do many other platforms. So the censorship levels seem to have dropped. We will see whether my perception's right or not. It might not be. So it could be on Rumble and BitChute and places like that. But it's written by a guy of the tribe called Michael Rivero. That's the ironic bit. But it was turned into a bit of a blast of a video that runs for about 20 minutes with him narrating it. I think he put it out on his radio show. It must be, 10, 12 years back now. And it's a very good thing. I haven't brought it with me tonight. We're not going to read from it because we know all the contents anyway, but just in a decidedly different order. But I think, broadly speaking, it's true. All wars are bankers' wars. I don't know what you gentlemen think about that, but I would suggest that every sort of conflict situation's got a big fat banker, or even a thin one, like in the image, all in his $10,000 suit or whatever, behind it.
That's spot on. Carry on, mate.
Sorry, come on, Chris.
What I was going to say is all wars are fought by forgotten heroes for lost causes.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, because who cares afterwards? Who cares? Look at Vietnam War. Thousands of Americans and Vietnamese killed for what? Vietnam now is going to be an ally of America, so they say, with the Iraq thing. Iran thing. And when you think about it, who gives a damn? I say, there's kids now walking around in the street that don't even know anything about World War II.
Yeah.
So there it is. That's my little piece for today.
Well,
so all wars are a waste of time.
Yeah, Mr. Anorak.
I was going to say, I guess ultimately we know that the behind the scenes, it's ultimately the elite who run these wars because they get rich on every individual that dies, and they get to supply all the ammo and Coca-Cola and all the other crap that they supply to the troops on. I mean, no, they play both sides and just get rich out of it. And what really needs to happen is that if people see through it all, they all turn and say, "We ain't fighting for you. If you want to have your war, off you go. See you later."
Yeah.
I'm sure they won't. I'm sure we won't see a Rothschild on the front line.
Really?
No.
You don't think? You don't think they're going to be out there? Really? Oh, I thought they'd be the first ones to sign
calculator.
up. Count us in.
Maybe he'll have
saying.
He might be sitting there with a calculator, adding up. Oh, and mate, there's another one dead. Oh, another 50 quid.
And did you know the royals make a fortune from, for example, the Duchy of Cornwall made a fortune out of the First World War because many of the men that died did not have a will, and their property was left to the Duchy of Cornwall. And I think it's a Duchy, is it of Lancashire as well?
Yeah.
They both made fortunes out of all the wars because there's always people that die and leave their estate. There's, they haven't left a will, so their estate goes to the royals. And I saw, I can't remember the exact figure, but it was a lot of money, even out of the Falklands War. There were some people from Cornwall that died and they didn't leave a will. And they had property, and the property went to, Queenie then. So that's something that people overlook. So if you're from Lancashire or Cornwall and you die and you haven't left a will, and you haven't got any family or anything like that, then your property goes to the royals. That's it. And that's
Isn't that lovely? But in a way, it's kind of on us as well. I mean, there are so many people. I know people that I've known a few people that have passed away without a will. And it's unfortunate in many cases. I was thinking about this today again. I mean, it sounds as though one is being sort of venal and greedy and thinks, well, why didn't some of that come to... These are not relations or anything. But there are so many of our... obviously, many of us are dying every day from natural causes. It's called lifespan and all that kind of stuff, and it happens. There's no point getting anxious about it. Everybody before us has done it. We're all going to do it. Just thought I'd lift the tone a bit, make you all feel jolly. And everybody that's going to come after us is likely to do the same thing.
Everybody's doing it.
Everybody's doing it and all that. But when they go, I was just thinking that really that what we need is a default position. It doesn't go to the government. It goes to in our case, the restoration of the English people. I don't mean the restore party. There needs to be sort of like a big trust. And you just go, our young folk are having a problem buying homes. So if people die intestate or didn't have any relations or leave a bundle or leave a house or whatever it is, it needs to, I would prefer to see it go back in and make it more easily available, for our younger people who are seeking, possibly desperately attempting to get married and have children, and I know that the rate of that is declining as well, really, I think, obviously, for economic reasons as well, which is more bankers in the mix. It really is, and I think just even going back to the title of tonight's show, All Wars Are Bankers' Wars, obviously when we use the word war, we are instantly drawn to the idea of military conflict and of men blowing each other up and blood and bones and all that kind of horrible stuff that takes place, which it does. But we're kind of in a war all the time, aren't we? I mean, I just think we are. We're in an adversarial relationship with the financial services industry. That's easy to see. And therefore, we're in conflict. We don't really consent to these things knowingly because they've ensured that we don't know much about how it's all done. I mean, of course, we know a little bit more than your average fella in the street round here, probably quite a bit more. But even so, I just going back to, I won't play it tonight, but that thing that Godfrey Bloom said, 12 years ago, he said, if any other business did what bankers do, they'd be locked up. So why are bankers allowed to do it? It's obviously because they're not really allowed to do it. They've just got such corruptive force and power. In other words, they can basically pay anybody off to shut up. It's quite a thing, really, all that kind of stuff.
Well, isn't it unbelievable that the banks actually own most of the countries anyway? So I guess they get to decide what goes on anyway. I mean, wasn't it the case that when Queen Lizzie was about, or Queen Lizard or whatever it was, went to the Bank of England, she had to bow or lay an egg or whatever it was before she was allowed in?
I think that's. I think you're thinking about the City of London. So if she went there to enter the city, and they send all these signals out, don't they? She could only go dressed as a commoner, and she must walk behind the Lord Mayor. He goes in first, and through that little ceremony, they're telling you who's in charge, really, quite clearly, actually. It's funny you mentioned that, actually, Mr. Anorak, because do I call you Mr. or Royal? Or sir, I don't know what to call it.
I've been called most things over the last few years. So.
Oh well, the show's young. You might be in luck. We might call you all sorts of things before we finish. But it's
I answer to them all, and all that's the thing.
Yeah, in conversation with the effing farmer today, this came up as well. How interesting! So it's a little theme, you know. I don't think the king, our mighty king, has been there yet. Or he might have been, but I don't think he has. But he would have to go in a sort of like, you know, in a trilby and a raincoat, Eric. I think that's what he should go. Like he's just come back from the racetrack or something with a cigarette in his mouth. I'm the king. I'm coming in. All that kind of stuff.
What I would love to see is him actually turn up in something like a t-shirt and jogging bottoms with his the bottom of his jogging bottoms tucked in his socks.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Who's the chav? Oh, it's Charles.
A bit like people, not necessarily Charles, people on Epstein Island.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly. I mean, because our dear king wouldn't go anywhere near Epstein, would he? I mean, he already had his own friends, didn't he? Like Jimmy Savile and people like that.
I'd still love to know. I know I say this on your show as well, Chris. I'd still love to know what Stephen Hawking's role was in that, because I mean, he wasn't really much use to anybody, was he? So unless he was the taxi driver from the maybe he was the transport around the island.
Maybe he was. Yeah. Oh, little Steve. Have you seen those AI things of Stephen Hawking where he's racing around in his? They're absolutely amazing. They're amazingly funny. Have you not seen them? You've got to see them. Well, maybe we'll do a show, the Stephen Hawking show. The AI generated things. I've forgotten the name of the app. It begins with an S, Suno or something. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, there's tons of it. If you go onto YouTube, everybody's going to leave the show now and go start watching them. You won't come back. We'll lose you for hours on end. They've taken Stephen Hawking in his wheelchair and they've got him doing the most amazing stuff. Skateboarding on a half pipe. Absolutely brilliant. Amazingly good. and he's also... They actually tool up they put an engine in one of them on his wheelchair, and he's racing against Formula One cars. And he's going it's amazing to watch. It's just fantastic. It's what Stephen always wanted to do, but never could, I suppose, in real life. But yeah, they're pretty funny. You just reminded me of those. They're cool.
There's something creepy about him though, because if you look at Richard D. Hall, he said his facial image he changed over his life in a way that was different. Mm-hmm. And he wonders whether it's the same Stephen Hawkins all the way through.
Well, the thing is, he wouldn't have been a very good drug smuggler, would he? Anything like that, because he'd come through customs, and he'd be trying to whisper to someone, and this thing would be shouting out, "Oh, they're in the bag! Shut up!"
Yeah.
Sorry, I haven't been.
But
are you?
But if you look up not now, obviously, but after the show, a YouTube channel called The Fifth Kind, and that's a figure 5. There's an interesting piece on there. Were we engineered to obey? And there's a lot of ancient stories that say that humans were engineered to actually obey. So that is quite interesting. So I just thought I'd mention that, because this is how these banksters and people like that get away with it, because we have got this submissive way with us that has been conditioned into us, programmed into our brains, which needs to be deprogrammed. Just a thought.
I think there could be something in that. I don't know whether... I wonder when it started. I don't get the impression that the guys, say, pre-1500 were like that. But I think the last 500 years something's gone slightly wonky and wrong. You never can tell.
Well, no, it's as we come from the farms. What's happened is that farming folk had to be, shall we say, in control of what they're doing, because you had to make up your own mind. You had to think a lot. If you're looking after animals or anything like that, you've got to be self-reliant. Whereas in the city, you don't need to be self-reliant, because there's shops selling you things and you don't have to worry too much. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry whether the crops are going to fail or anything like that, because there's a grocery store that's going to sell you something. And as long as you've got money, you're okay. And I think something is missing from our lives, because you notice all the lefties and the communists and that, majority are from cities and the worst parts of cities.
Yeah.
Just interesting you bring that up, Chris, because something that's been mentioned at work today was one of my friends, this guy who's good at decoding. He'd been watching something about colours in life. When you go to school and things like, you're surrounded by colourful pictures and that sort of, like in classrooms, and they're always colourful, aren't they? There's lots of, do you know what I mean? But then you go into an office, you get to adulthood, and you go into an office and it's a boring, dull office. It's white walls or grey, or it's a grey building. And apparently the colours that they choose, or these colours of these buildings, can affect how you feel.
Correct.
So when you're at school, you've got all these bright colours, and that makes you feel energetic and enthusiastic to learn the BS.
Mm-hmm.
But once you've done that bit and you come out into the working environment, we're surrounded by dull buildings, and we're inside dull buildings for 8 hours a day, aren't we? White walls and things like that. I think there might be something in that,
I think there's loads in it.
it.
It's absolutely, it's intentional.
That's right.
Yeah,
If you went to the doctors in the 1970s, I don't know if they still do it now, they give you a colour test, and what that is, you would pick out colours that you kind of like on that day, and from that the doctor could tell what kind of emotion you were in. And the reason they did that in Germany is because a certain Mr. H started a national health service that was based on natural medicine, not Rockefeller oil-based medicine. And some of that has still carried on. It was into the 70s. Whether they do it now, and I do not know. But they used to do that because they had one of the most advanced health services in the world that was started in 1933 and destroyed in 1945. And then I'm not sure when the oil-based Rockefeller health service started in Germany, but they used to. They carried on. Whereas the NHS destroyed natural medicine records of them, the Germans didn't. They carried it on, so they used it with oil-based medicines. So there's a little bit there. So if anybody knows it's from Germany or anything like that, whether they still do that or not, please say in chat. That'd be very interesting. I think we do have a couple of German people in chat.
Do we?
Well, do you find, I don't know if either of you have been over to Germany, like on trips or holidays or whatever, but the opportunities to eat healthier over there are a lot easier than they are here. And then I do apologise, I'm going to bring up trains just briefly. You go to any of the main railway stations, and they'll have what they call them. There'll be a stall there called Mr. Fruit, and they basically sell fresh juices. And so you buy grapefruit juice, and you basically get it in the same sort of size drinking vessel like you get from McDonald's, for example. But it's healthy stuff, and it's so refreshing. It's amazing. And you think, why haven't we got that? That's how you get people healthy. Get rid of your fast food chains and bring things like that in.
Well,
Brilliant place.
Open a pharmacy beginning with F instead of P. Farm. Yeah. I see. But I'm sorry to throw cold water over what you just said, but apparently if you have fruit juices, they're not good for you because it raises your insulin level through the roof, and you've got to keep your insulin levels low. I'm not a diabetic or anything like that, and I've got no qualifications in this, so please don't take exactly what I'm saying as 100% truth. Look it up for yourself. But what I've seen is if you have a glass of orange juice, it'll send your insulin through the bloody roof, and that's not good. It puts a hell of a load on your liver and things like that. And
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not as healthy as I thought they were then. Maybe we should have gone to Burger King next door.
Well, no,
yeah,
we're not designed to have that amount of fruit.
I think
Seriously.
a good way to start your day is with a nice chocolate croissant. That's always a good way to start the day, and a good cup of tea. And I do start my day like that. And, of course, it's wrong, but I feel really good on it, doing a wrong thing like that. And if it's good for the French, and they're quite slim, although I don't seem to be getting slimmer from doing this. And then I'd make sure that in the afternoon you make sure that the fridge has got some clotted cream in it to slap on the scone. It's quite important, really. I've become an addict. I've got to break it. I was actually thinking I'm going to have to go to Clotted Creams Anonymous because I just can't leave it alone. I can't
I
leave it
know.
alone.
If you can find one, let me know, because I need to join it as well, then, Paul.
Oh, it's just outrageous. It's better than sugar, though.
well,
Think about it. It is
put it this
absolutely
way.
better for you
I
than
don't
sugar.
know.
It is.
I don't know. What about a continental roll in bed?
I've never heard you say anything quite so smutty and suggestive in all my life.
What, a continental? Nothing like a continental roll in bed. I mean, what's so smutty about that?
At our age,
rather have
Chris, I think at our age it's more of an incontinent roll in bed.
No, I would prefer an intercontinental roll in bed.
Yes.
Not an intercontinental
International
ballistic
roll.
missile, then. We don't want one of those, do we?
Yes.
No.
Do you fancy a song right now? Do you fancy a tune right now? It's just, this is a war tune.
Why not?
I wanted to put a war tune. It's only a couple of minutes. Let's listen to this war tune. We'll be back after this big tune about war.
Bum, 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 I ran. Bum, 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 I ran. Bum, 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 I ran. Bum, 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 I ran. What country's got a feeling really hit the ceiling? Bum, I ran. Bum, 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 I ran. Went to a mosque, gonna throw some rocks. Tell the Ayatollah, gonna put you in a box. Bum, I ran. Bum, 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 I ran. Sam's getting pretty hot. Time to turn Iran into a parking lot. Bum, Iran, bum, 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 Iran, bum, bum, Iran. The country's got a feeling really hit the ceiling. Bum, Iran, bum, 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 Iran. Call the volunteers, call the bombardiers, call the financiers. Better get their ass in gear. Bum, Iran, bum, 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 Iran. Supplies, get our hands untied and bring them back alive. Bum, Iran, bum, 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 Iran, bum, bum, Iran. Our country's got a feeling really hit the ceiling. Bum, Iran, bum, 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 Iran. Bum, 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 Iran. Bum, 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 Iran. You've been stealing, now it's time for dealing. Bum, Iran, bum, 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 Iran.
Well, I thought I'd put something in that was completely bad taste, and that was it, everybody. I thought we'd better have a bad taste tune. So there we go. Yeah, it was bad taste,
isn't it? Yeah,
it's
qualified.
It
it's
certainly
all about
qualifies.
bombing.
And one of the reasons for putting it in, just to let you know that bombing Iran is a long-term thing. That was actually released about 7 to 10 years ago. Right? So the urgings to bomb Iran have been going on for an awful long time. By the way, I'm not into geopolitics with all this kind of stuff, really, with this particular event. I don't know how it's impacted on you guys. Have you been paying much attention to it at all?
Well, yeah, so I went to I walked down to the supermarket because I need to fill up with petrol. And I thought there was going to be a huge queue, and there wasn't. Cars are just going in normally and pulling out. So I don't know, it's like that round where you are. There doesn't seem to be a
So
rush
you're the one,
on
are you, Eric?
fuel.
You're the one that causes the run on petrol. You are the you're the ignition point. As soon as you go, everybody around you. I know that's the main thing. It's not that there would be a petrol shortage. It's just that you know how everybody else is. I suppose maybe everybody's anticipating that everybody else is going to rush for it. So they all start rushing for it. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it? It's mad.
Yeah, that's right. But has there been queues around? Has anybody in chat or anybody noticed any queues? Because, as I say, I went there and it was virtually empty, the filling station. So I thought, I'll get in my car and fill her up with some fuel,
The only queue by me was in B&Q, to be honest with you. That's the only one I've seen.
Yeah. So, but I think people are probably sick of it because they know it's probably all going to be well, I don't know whether it's whether it's a First and Second World War situation where it'll all be over before Christmas.
Yep.
Because initially, Trumpy Trousers said it'd only be, a matter of days. And now it's a matter of weeks, and now it might be just a few months. But the only problem is America apparently is running out of things that go bang, missiles. And Iran has got lots of them stocked up, a hell of a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they can fire away at art's content if what they say is true, because the first casualty of war is truth, unfortunately. So we don't know what's true, really. We really don't. So
I guess ultimately we don't even know if that's even taking place, do we? I mean, if it's just from the mainstream media telling us, we don't really know. I mean, we know that they're about as reliable as, I don't know, a smart car or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe they've found a way of waging war without waging war, so they've got all the footage that tell you it's going on, but this is actually better for them. They don't have to destroy as much. They destroy just a little bit, but then the report, I don't know. It's just not possible to find out anymore. You give up after a while. You just go, oh yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of the talking heads, really banging on about this now and all this kind of stuff. So you get the usual sort of wave of emotional reactionism around these things. And it's not that I don't sympathise with people who are just being killed for no damn good reason whatsoever. Well, there is a good reason, but it's not a good reason. There is a reason, but it ain't a good one. But it's just not possible from our position to tell anymore. And I think this, like the manipulation of imagery and sound and everything has now got to such a sort of refined and sophisticated status that you just go, you know what, I can't be bothered to try and figure out whether you're actually telling me things straight or not. Maybe that was the whole idea. We just become so completely disinterested in it. I have no idea. Mind you, when people were interested in it and they went marching, it didn't make any bloody difference either, did it? So you might as well just do your gardening. To some degree.
Well, I had a quick look on the BBC website today at work, just very briefly, just to have a laugh more than anything else. Mm-hmm. And there was a picture, the first picture on there was from Iran, naturally, with a load of smoke in the background and 4 people right by the camera. And one of them was dressed in a suit, and you think, so you're in the middle of a war zone, so you're gonna put your best suit on, are you? You think, yeah, staged.
I know the Israelis are sending. They've got megaphones. They're shouting out to the. Well, that's a long way away. They're actually sending messages to Iran, so that when they bomb Iran, they've asked them if they could kindly keep their tanks and soldiers still, because don't they realise that the missiles and bullets cost money, and they don't want to waste money. Sorry.
And I guess if they go off course, they really are in the Shiites.
Oh,
sorry.
You've been saving that one up all year, haven't you?
Cool.
I have.
Oh dear. I've had the Shiites all week, But I've noticed you can still
Paul,
get.
I've got a link for you in the chat.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Paul. Paul, by the way, while you're here, what's the mood in America with regard? Because currently, again, your fighting forces or your forces, whatever you want to call them, are being thrown into this. Mind you, I understand that our weasel in charge, Starmer, apparently. I mean, I don't know what to say, really. It's just it's ludicrous. First of all, they're accusing him of not being like Churchill, so I'm going, good, you don't want to be like him. But you know what they're driving at. And then you hear him talk and you go, oh dear. I heard someone actually say, who was I listening to the other day? I think it was Mike Graham. He's back on in the morning. Look, it's not perfect, everybody. I'm not sort of like an advocate of all these things. It's like, but there's some good bits in it every now and again. And someone quite seriously and calmly, this was the bit that made the difference. They were sort of like said that they think that there's something seriously wrong with him, and he really does need help. And I think we've known that ever since we saw him. He does. There's something completely. He's been chosen for his mentally aberrated state. He's not right in the head or anywhere, it would seem to me. They're simply not right. Is his purpose to literally, breed demoralization through the entire political class? It certainly looks like it. I mean, not that I'm against that in some way, but, it's a bit bewildering.
You don't think he's some relation of Biden, do you? Because, I mean, Biden couldn't rub 2 pennies together, could he? Let's be honest.
Maybe they've put him in to make Biden look great. Seriously. I mean, I mean it. Biden literally was not in control of himself and all that kind of stuff. And you just look at the whole thing, and all you can come to is that the guy that does the casting is playing a blinder. We've just got this ever degenerating competence from all the leaders. They're just getting worse and worse. Oh, we've got it all planned out. And there's a phrase from Mencken with regard to voting. I mean, he was talking about the American electorate. He said, there will come a day, I'm paraphrasing from memory, something like, there will come a day very soon when the American people will get exactly what their heart's desire wants, and that is, in the White House, an absolute moron for president. I think, he was writing that in the 1920s when they actually still had people who were relatively competent and had integrity. They did used to exist, I know. And I know we know that politics is flawed and we don't like democracy because it's led to this, which is what it was always going to lead to, because it couldn't lead to anything else because it's a complete mess. But just coming back to Paul, what's the kind of mood out there? I know what the mood is. I guess I know what it would be in your circles, but generally, are you catching any of this? Or are you as disinterested in it as we are, I suppose, from a distance? I don't know.
I think it's actually polarizing.
Right.
You can ask anybody about the war, and you know exactly where they're coming from, where their headspace is. If they're saying that it's a good thing that we bomb Iran to protect Israel, I know I don't want to talk to them anymore. Mm-hmm. I just turn around and I say, have a nice day.
Yep.
If they're actually listening to Promethean updates and listening to that spun narrative that Trump is somehow dismantling this 100-plus-year-old regime that was installed and has been manipulated for that period of time by Britain, and that is the last linchpin in the cog of world power and globalist authority. Well,
yeah.
you gotta wonder what's going on with that. But then you look at the reports as far as the expense of military hardware and how overextended the U.S. has been, like with the war in the Ukraine and with all of the other things that we have stuck our nose into when really we have no business sticking our nose in other people's stuff.
Yep.
We've expended and neutered so much of our military. We don't have the weaponry, the airplanes, or the manpower to win a war with Iran. And my only hope is that Iran focuses the majority of their energy on Israel and turns that into a damn parking lot, because I think that is the cornerstone of global evil control, is Israel.
Do you think,
and
Paul?
If it turned into nothing more than pebbles in a parking lot, I'd be deliriously happy. That's my take.
Yeah, you don't know what distraction came first, and which distraction is to distract you from the other distraction. So you've had Epstein thing come and gone. Has it gone yet, or is it rolling around? Now we've got this.
No,
that's all
the
off the
Epstein
news.
thing
Still rolls.
I haven't heard a damn word about Epstein since the war began, and I think that was by design. We need to focus on Epstein again and just say our nightly prayers for the protection of Israel, that God takes all those Israelis close to his bosom when we dispatch them to their end reward. I think we can pray for them for that, pray for their souls, and just go on with life and focus on Epstein and the nasty, dirty stuff he did.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
Yep. I know. I never know which
the
distraction came first. Sorry, Paul.
No, I was going to say, I guess the question that comes from this is, are people feeling angry enough to want to do something about it? Though, I'm wondering how long it's going to be before the general population start to realise that all their celebrity people who they've worshipped all these years are all sick individuals, as being polite.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what it's going to take for people to actually step forward and say, actually, we've got to do something about this. But I do wonder whether the arm spear is affecting how people would react to that. Whether if that stuff wasn't flowing through people's veins, whether they'd be reacting differently than they actually do.
Good point.
I don't know. I think maybe, even if they tell you that you've lost willpower because of food, that might be a lie. Do you see what I'm saying? You might not have.
That's true.
You just go, get them thinking that it's the food. No, get them thinking that it's to do with their inside leg measurement. Tell them it's to do with the material that we've been making trousers out of. Anything will do, and people jump on it really quick. And no one's really got the means of actually analysing whether these things might be true or not. I mean, I accept that, I do think that the food quality is definitely lower. I don't need a measurement index to tell me that. It feels that way. But then I'm thinking, well, I'm a reasonably seasoned individual. Maybe you just start to feel this way after you've got a few years under your belt. I actually don't really know. I mean, the counter argument is we've got more people living for longer than we've ever had. But is that a counter argument? I don't really know. Maybe we should be all living to 120. Do you want to? I mean, would you want to live to 120 around people like this? It's a big ask, isn't it? What, you mean I've got to spend a long time being miserable with a world run by people who are obviously not fit to run a tobacconist, It's, you end up becoming, it's not bewildered. You just go, I do. I'm just going, ugh. After a while. I mean, I know what I think needs to be affecting, and of course it's the bank. I've always banged on about this, and I just think that until the bank's affected, really, we ain't got a clue what's going on, to be quite honest. That's what I've thought that for years. I thought, if this is the measuring system of commercial prosperity and all this, that, and the other, and yet it's completely out of whack, how do we know what, is it that they're good businessmen, the people that run BlackRock? I don't think so. I mean, I'm not saying they're incompetent, but they're highly competent at taking a system that benefits them first by design, so that they're them going to the newspapers and go, look at this guy, he's really, really clever, he runs this big business, and he's got this and he's got that, and what do? You don't do anything, do you? And you're going, how does this all work? It works through it's a sort of, a long-standing disease, and this is how it's manifest. I don't think there's probably anything new with that. It's just the scale of it is sort of planet-wide or flat Earth-wide or global round or whatever you want to call it. It's everywhere. It's sort of leaked into so many areas, or at least our perception is that. We're probably not even looking at all these islands that we could just go and live on. But, maybe you have that conversation as well. Do you ever think, well, what I want to do is I want to get away from it all? But the question is, do you? I mean, I don't, actually. I don't want to get away from it all. I don't want to go live on an island. No, John Donne said, no man is an island. You're not really. And we're sort of enmeshed in all of this. And maybe we'd go mad. Maybe we'd go mad if we didn't have anything to moan about. Seriously, there's a sort of...
No.
You don't think?
I don't.
I'd like to at least give it a try. Can we at least give it a try? And we could come back after a year and go,
yes, we can.
All that bliss and happiness is not for me. I want to get back to moaning and being surrounded by incompetence and fools and liars. It's far too much fun. Yeah.
All I'd ask is that if we do pick an island, could it not be Canvey Island, please?
Yeah, not Epstein Island.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do need to clarify something. I'm just intuitively getting the message that some people might have taken my last statement incorrectly. When I say mow down Israel, I'm not mentioning Jews. I am mentioning Edomites. I am mentioning the descendants of Cain. I am mentioning those where Christ himself said in the Bible, don't trust them, they lie.
Yes.
Evil needs to be extricated from the planet. I am not talking against Jews. There are a lot of awesome Jews. There are some awesome rabbis. There are also some really weird ones that, caused like infections by circumcising babies and stuff, in the manner in which they did it. There's good and bad, but by and large, baby, when the bomb started flying, he got on an airplane and he hightailed it to Europe. He hightailed it out of there.
No,
I don't
really?
even think he's surfaced yet.
It's not like in old days,
Has
is it?
he?
It's not.
No. And
It's not where the leader
what
was
did
actually
the
on the
Iranian
horse.
leaders do?
Yeah, it's all over. It's all that kind of stuff.
What did the Iranian religious leaders do? They had a meeting in the guy's house, not in a bunker,
Mm-hmm.
and the very first wave of bombs that were sent over, blew up the 6 of the top religious leaders of Iran. And what did it do? It turned them into martyrs, and Iran kept running. They kept going. The missiles kept flying. The bombs kept dropping. The attacks continued. No, they don't understand their enemy. Neither Israel nor the United States.
Most people
understand.
They don't, because they don't have this foundational knowledge about what Scripture really says. And I don't even like using the word Scripture because it immediately throws everybody into a wobbly sort of perception space, doesn't it? I'm aware that all these words, they're trigger words like Bible, Scripture, and all this, that, and the other. I've often described it to people as a field and tactical and spiritual combat manual for white people. That's the way I view that document.
There you go.
Yeah, because it is.
Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
That's right. It really is. It's a basic instruction set, but because it's peddled as something mystically this, that, and it has got those aspects and qualities. I'm not trying to reduce them, but first things first, can we just put our shoes on properly, the right way round, and our trousers, and get sat in the chair properly and facing the right direction? Nobody ever doing that. Everybody's running around with all these complicated ideas about what it's about. I was listening to, he passed some time ago, Alan Watts. There's Alan Watt, who was the Scottish fella who was fantastic, and there's Alan Watts, the English fella, who's also fantastic. And I was listening to something by Alan Watts the other day, and he was talking about this, what they've done, the religions, what they do is they take the sort of figure of their adoration, or however you want to describe it, and they sort of take them off the earth. They put them up in the clouds. They become so distant. And to get to them, of course, you've got to go through the religious institution to get there, if that's what you think you need to do. Whereas I much prefer viewing it in a plainer way, personally, obviously, because it's got so much more power. It's so much more useful in many ways. And, you were just mentioning that point there, Paul. I think we talked about this maybe a couple of weeks ago. There was that, what's his name? Tucker Carlson talking to Mike Huckabee. I think it was over in Israel, wasn't it? I think it was. And the conversation was it was nuts. I think we mentioned this when I was on with Roger on Friday the other week, and it's just a mad conversation. They don't know it's mad. They think that they're talking sensible things, and they come into conclusions which make no sense. Not to them. They make absolute sense. But they don't make any sense when you understand what the real truth of the situation is. And so it's not possible with that sort of a conversation to solve this. It's more than one problem. This whole series, this whole clutch of problems, because people have read the manual wrong. They've read it wrong. It's as simple as that. They keep on taking a bolt off when they should be putting a screw in. No, don't do that. It's going to fall. Oh, God. No, it looks like this. We've been doing it like this for thousands of years. Yeah, do you think that might tell you something, why everything keeps on going wonky all the time? Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. I don't know even how to begin the conversation with, what would you say, just people who are completely unaware of this. It's very difficult to even get it rolling. I mean, most of the people here, I guess, in YouTube and Rumble, and shout out to all of you. I'm scanning the chats. We'll make some quotes as we go along. And to all the listeners out there on WBN and all the stations that are carrying us tonight, which is fantastic. Most of the people, I think, have already been woken up. I know it's the phrase of the day, but I think it has to some degree. And it's just a matter of sort of crossing the T's and putting the dots on the I's, all that kind of stuff, and getting the details down. Even then, though, we're still faced with that thorny problem of what to do. What to do. I suppose in part, we've said here that we're doing these shows, Eric's doing his show, and we keep doing these things as part and parcel of doing something. Is it the great big is there one great big thing that needs to be done? Maybe there isn't. Maybe it's just loads of little things and people just slowly shifting in the right direction to start to see the situation more accurately.
My feeling is that a lot more people see it anyway. I think from how it was sort of 5 or 6 years ago, where you get on a train, for example, and everyone would be masked up and you'd be deemed as selfish if you got on without one.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I think if they tried the same thing again, I think most people would ignore it. I mean, we've seen them try it with like monkeypox and things like that, and people just took the mick basically, and they just laughed it off. And I think that's a simple. I think they may continue to try the same things because the elite can't think of anything new to do. But people just laugh it off now. They're starting to see through it all, and I think they're realising that actually we're right on most things.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they are.
You're right. Yeah. Every dog has its day, and I think my attitude's been all the way along. Give them enough rope, and that's it. And I always remember what Dave Starbuck said: "They'll collapse like a house of cards when you least expect it." And I think he was right.
It's getting there, definitely. You can see it.
You can.
I think they're desperate. I think they are worried. Yeah, sorry, mate. Carry on.
No. I mean, I it's everywhere you look. Do you hit a point of sort of like, what's the word? It's something fatigue. I do. I hit after a while. I go. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what my mood chart's like over a month, but I definitely have one. There's some mornings I wake up like I've got a firecracker up my backside, and I can't wait to get at things. After a few days, though, I start to go slightly sour inside, and I'm looking at stuff and I'm thinking, why am I getting all wound up about these things? I have to say, as the years have gone by, I get less wound up. Then that concerns me because I'm thinking, you're not paying enough attention. You should be getting really wound up about this stuff. But I look, back in the past when one does, and what effect does it have? I mean, it's not much, it seems to me. It seems as though I'm self-denigrating here to a ridiculous degree, but it just getting angry doesn't do things. Doing constructive stuff is slightly different. I think, so I'm slightly neggy when I say this, but on the other side, there are some positive opportunities. And I do think that we're best, when we're actively doing things and picking things up. Anyway, look, we're coming to the end of the hour, and I'm going to play a song here, and it's quite long. I played it about 5 or 6 months ago, and I just stumbled across it again today, and I just thought I'd play it. It sort of references the AI thing, which we haven't been talking about at all. The effing farmer is in the studio. We can see you. We're going to bring him in after this song. We're going to go to this. So this is it long enough, this song, these two little songs back to back, for you to be able to put the kettle on, probably go to the bathroom, and just have a jolly good fun time. This is the Divine Comedy with Infernal Machines. This is the one that's heavy at the beginning and then delightfully cafe afterwards. And after this, we'll be joined by the effing farmer. How about that? We'll see you after this song. 7 minutes. There you go. Plenty of time.
Machines that do this, machines that do that, machines that go hiss, machines that go crack, machines that can give us the things that we lack, machines that do this, machines that do that. Machines that do all the things we cannot, machines that recall the things we forgot, machines in our offices, schools and shops, machines that do all the things we cannot. Machines down below, machines up above, machines making toast, machines making love. These are the things that dreams are made of. Machines down below, machines up above. Machines that go ping, machines that go pong, machines that can sing, machines that can sounds, machines that can think that know right from wrong, machines that go ping, machines that go pong. your life of ease. That crazy algorithm has you in its sway. It's making the decisions for you every day. You're living in a prison of your own design. That crazy algorithm's making up your mind. You never work in this town again, girl. You never work in this town again. Never work in this town again, boy. You never work in this town again. No, no. You'll never work in this town again. Good. You'll never work in this town again. No, no. You'll never work in this town again.
That's it, everyone. You're never going to work in this town again. Apparently, that's due to happen within the next 2 to 3 years. So I don't know whether you think that's a good or a bad thing, but AI is going to kick our bottoms, apparently, particularly if you're in the middle management thing. Somebody who isn't in middle management, though, is our guest for hour 2 and possibly hour 3, the gentleman with the tremendous handle of the F in Farmer. Hello, Mr. F. Welcome to the show. We seem to... Why can't we hear you? Let me just have a look. Oh, I know, because it's... no, it's okay. There we go. We plonked you on the stage now. I don't know quite how I dropped you off the stage. Hi, Mr. Effin Farmer. How are you this evening?
I'm good, Paul. How are you?
I'm fine. We're having a fun show talking about war. Lots of it on film and in the studio. Yeah, we're not too bad here. What's your day been like?
Well, it's been fantastic because we spoke for 3 hours earlier on, and then you cut me off and told me I had to wait to talk to you this evening.
That's right.
So I've impatiently waited this long.
Have you just been sat still all afternoon, just waiting for the call, the call to resume?
Well,
I mentioned earlier that. I've only.
In a way, yes.
Yeah, cool. So we had a long chat today, but we spent a little time, didn't we, on Gary's show a couple of weeks back, I don't think anybody here is really going to know you that well. I mean, people in the studio, we got Paul out in the States. He's hanging around. And there's another Paul here who's known as the Anorak. I'm Paul as well. I mean, there's Eric von Essex, who's not called Paul. And there's you. I'm assuming you're not called Paul as well. But other than that, it's very confusing. It's appalling, literally. Ha, ha, ha. And all that kind of stuff. But nobody here will really know who you are. So maybe let's give you the stage a little bit. And... you can tell us your entire life story. No, not really. Sort of, a little bit about you, your background, how you know Gary maybe, and your interesting role as a farmer and as a cryptocurrency guy. It's quite interesting, all that.
Well, we like to call it blockchain now, Paul, not cryptocurrency.
Oh, terribly sorry. I've just got fired.
That's a conspiracy in itself, as it turns out. Basically, I've been a farmer all my life. Grew up on a farm, still here on the farm. Love it. Obviously, we've got a complete, utter moronic, not just our government, but every moron that is running this world. Yeah. Which is constantly attacking the farming industry and farmers across the world. Because it's not really a normal thing for farmers across multiple countries to all be going out protesting all at the same time, not all at the same on the same points, but different points that is affecting their industry in their country.
Mm-hmm.
So I was behind something called Farmers to Action, which we went protesting across the UK for the last 12 to 14 months until we were infiltrated by small hats. But that's another story.
It's an interesting one, though, isn't it?
To the point, it is. To the point that now I'm back home, stopped doing that for a while, but at the same time have been into cryptocurrency since 2016, 2017, and then also I've been into the truther sort of movement for a very long time, more so by accident. That started for me when I was about 22, and I played rugby for a team called the Knights Templar, and I didn't know what the Knights Templar was, and that started off my journey. So I went off to find out what the Knights Templar were, and then that led me to Freemasonry, and then that led me to the Vatican, and you know how the snowball keeps going after that.
It does. The Knights Templar. Where did you play them? What is that, up in London somewhere, or am I just being deluded? It's somewhere regional.
It was just a summer sevens team,
right?
That was branded. They called themselves the Knights Templar, but at that point of my lifespan, I didn't know what the Knights Templar were, and then I went into figuring out what the Knights Templar were and when they were around, and ironically, it's quite a good loop around because they started the first ever ledger, and Bitcoin is a digital ledger. So, in a roundabout way, it might have been meant to have been.
It might have been. Are the Knights Templars the guys that started double entry bookkeeping? Was it them, or was it someone else?
Yes.
It was them, wasn't it?
Knights Templar. So you could basically hand your gold in anywhere in the world. They give you basically a receipt, and then you could go pick it up wherever you were going.
Nice, because it's nice and safe. Yeah, Paul.
It's interesting they've been doing that even more recent times as well. How often do you go into towns over the last sort of 4 or 5 years where they've been asking people to bring in their scrap gold? It feels like history repeating itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
But history does, doesn't it? It runs in circles.
Yeah.
I thought that's what we did. Isn't that what we do? We run in circles, don't we? They're nice circles, though, that we run in. They are nice circles that we run in.
We're the winning ones.
Yeah.
And, where do you farm? I mean, do you have a farm shop at all? Places where we can buy it? But I mean, do you do animal farming or vegetable farming, or what sort of farming do you do, and where are you?
So I'm down in Devon. Predominantly, we do hay, haylage, and straw. We also do lamb and beef, and we have recently just put in a egg enterprise of putting basically growing pasture-reared chickens, so pasture-reared eggs, meaning I would probably say, in my opinion, that would be better than free-range and organic because their sheds, as it were, move every single day, so they're on clean pasture. So they're picking up bugs and everything, so you're going to get like an egg which is going to be high in protein and more omega-3 than a conventional egg or an egg that is in a battery farm.
That's interesting.
Brilliant.
You don't, unfortunately, I'm in Hertfordshire. Which, I mean, do you have a farm shop? Are you selling directly to the public at all?
We don't have a farm shop, but we do sell everything directly to the public. So we can always post, and we take cash, card, and Bitcoin.
Do you have a
take
website?
Bitcoin, do you? Yeah.
The real one, not the fake one.
So you're BSV guys, are you? You take the real one.
Yes.
I'd like to. We covered this a bit with Gary, and since Gary got on my case about the whole thing, I've bought some BSV. I now have a little hoard, which is good.
Nice.
And it was. Well, he was very helpful. Were you part of that process? Because I had to send. I don't know whether you were. There was somebody. I know it's a bit of a kerfuffle buying this stuff. And I know that I'm assuming that most people in the space, correct me if I'm wrong, are thinking of it in terms of it's going to have spectacular growth and they're going to make hay. Is that sort of the general mood of most people that are in the know about what BSV really is and what they're seeing as the future? They're coming at it from that point of view, or do they have more enlightened views? Let's call it that.
So, yes, there is a long-term value exposure that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, if you mitigate your risk, if you went and bought the fake one, as in BTC, that's currently at $70,000. So your risk is like exponentially bad.
Mm-hmm.
BSV is pretty much at the bottom of all its charts, but it has value as in its usability. So BTC, if you want to buy some eggs off me, BTC, let's say hypothetically, the eggs are £2.10 here. It could cost you nearly 10 to 50, maybe 80p for that transaction to buy those eggs on BTC. Now, BSV, it's going to cost you hundredth of a penny, thousandth of a penny in the transaction fee. So effectively, we are dealing as close as possible with cash for people, but it's digital. Because what Bitcoin was designed to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash, not a store of value, not a digital gold, and it was supposed to be for the people, no matter if you work in Wall Street, fucking America, or the Philippine Islands, and you're earning £5 a day, or someone's earning £5 a week. It would give everyone the equal economic ability to transfer value on the same system, which is something I'd like, when I popped in and started listening, you're on about how we fight the system.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the best ways of fighting the system is don't play in it anymore. Leave it. And if there's a different system available, we can leave it in a, more of an orderly manner, even though I do believe that there could be a civil war. But, it gives us an option.
So that transaction cost is interesting. I didn't realize it was so expensive with BTC transactions, but then I suppose not many are being made because isn't it just really a speculator's haven? It certainly, that's the impact it has. People have just bought it, but nobody actually buys any goods and services with it really. Maybe a few. I don't know. I've got a positive BTC story. It is positive. It's positive for me, anyway. Yeah. And I've got to swap it out. But basically, I had an account. I still have an account at a place called blockchain.com. And about 7 or 8 years ago, a good friend of mine called Roger Sales, who Paul here knows, I was doing some work for him, building websites and stuff. And he wanted to pay me some money. So I think he sent me about $1,000 at the time. And he sent it to me in Bitcoin. And I spent a little of it at the time, but then the whole of their system got redesigned and I've not been able to access the account for years, literally. And I've had 3 sessions with them. They said, well, just do this. I said, look, you've changed the account and I literally cannot see it. They said, well, it's there. I said, yeah, but your interface is just useless. It's gone, right? So I had no means of moving it. Anyway, joy of joys, the other day, Tuesday evening, I go, I'll go and have another look. So I go and have a look, and they've changed it again, and bingo, the account that was hidden from view, and it was hidden from view for 5 years. The last transaction I did on it was in 2021, and I've had 3 interminable email sessions with their help desk over that period. It's not a fortune in there, but to me, it's really useful. So there's 490 quid's worth of Bitcoin in there, right? And I was chuffed to bits. I just thought, hooray! I've got to swap it out and swap it for BSV, which I'll be planning to do as soon as I can, and get it exchanged out into something proper. One of the things that Gary said though, on the transaction front, I think it was maybe on the show where I appeared with you, on Gary's show a couple of weeks back, was the volume of transactions, as I understand it. You correct me because I'm just a neophyte in terms of the mechanics of how it, what's actually going on the ground. But the BTC network can do a maximum of 7 transactions a second. Is that correct? 7?
Yes. So BTC can do a maximum set of transactions of 7. BSV is up to 1 million. So,
per second.
and they've just been testing 1.1 million in the last few weeks.
Right.
So the problem with this is you end up with a bottleneck. Now, if you look at the mainstream narrative, and if anyone has, the best thing about the truther movement, we all go and read stuff. The average Joe public don't read anything. If you go and read the white paper of what the plan of Bitcoin was to be a digital peer-to-peer cash system, not a digital form of gold. Now, the narrative that Wall Street and Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy have all portrayed to everyone is hold it, and the value will go up. Well, effectively, that's a Ponzi scheme. Because if you hold something that does nothing, it's a Ponzi waiting to happen.
Yep.
And also with the bottleneck of 7 transactions per second, if everyone that has BTC does not get out of it sooner rather than later, when the bubble pops, it could take maybe up to 3 to 4 years for it to clear all the transactions. And Gary would probably tell me I'm wrong on that and tell me that it's more near 10 to 15 years for all those transactions to clear. So you could be there with a million quid.
Yeah.
And by the time you get it out in 3 years' time, it's zero. Because you're stuck in
Well, I never. So I need to get a wriggle on, don't I? Because I've just found 490 quid, and I need to get it out before I lose it all again. It's only 490.
Well, the other thing with the traffic, that traffic jam scenario is if you are someone with big bucks, you can pay to jump the queue, which then inflates the price of the transaction even more. So when I was telling you a minute ago about, at the moment when Bitcoin's quiet, you could be buying eggs off me, but it could cost you 50p in transaction fee.
Yeah.
If that scenario happens and you just want to wander down and buy some eggs off me, 1, you could be stuck in a traffic jam, and 2, the fee could be 50 to 60, maybe 100 quid plus.
So they're going to get you on the transaction fees.
So the transaction fee goes up.
Yeah.
If you go back to reading the white paper, Bitcoin was designed to scale to huge volumes, and as the scale climbs, the fee in transaction drops. So the fee in transaction, the transaction fee should get less over scale.
So this is to get this to act as money's finest quality, or the one that everybody associated with, which is as the medium of exchange, not as a store of value. That's not really the purpose of it.
Medium of exchange.
Cash, literally. So I can give you some stuff now from my mobile phone to your mobile phone using whatever app we are using. And I'm going to be able to do it if we can do 1 million transactions a second. I mean, I might be waiting at 5 seconds or something, but even so, we're going to be able to do a lot. I don't know how many transactions go on in the world every day.
Well, Visa and MasterCard is about 280,000 transactions per second.
Okay. Well, that's pretty, I think. And I guess the capacity for that might even increase as the network increases. Does it work like that? As it gets bigger, it gets quicker?
Yeah.
Yeah?
As it gets bigger, it gets quicker. At the moment, there's just been a white paper released to taking it to 1 billion transactions per second. Because unbelievably, what they've said about Bitcoin is it didn't scale, and that's completely away from the truth. It has complete scalability, or I can't remember the exact terminology off my head, but it's got like open scalability that it doesn't have limits, basically.
So the possibility of me being able to buy beef from you with BSV is a real one right now. I mean, if I was to go to your website, do you do it through a website and everything? Have you got a payment gateway so I could pay in BSV, or do we not do it like that? How does it actually work in practice?
So I don't have a website or anything like that. It's just like peer-to-peer. So I usually advertise everything on Facebook, as begrudgingly as I hate Facebook. But it is good. It is good for selling stuff. So I usually put ads up on Facebook, and then people contact me directly, and transaction is done, just wallet to wallet.
And then you ship the meat out,
or
do you?
And then ship it out. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be a customer next week. Oh, that's going to happen quite quickly. That's good. It is. I love it. It's cool.
What are you on? Yeah, what are you on Facebook? How can we find you on Facebook?
I'll keep my name off this, but I'll send it to Paul, and Paul can ping it to you.
Okay.
So are we basically in sort of secret squirrel mode at the moment? Is it kind of a sort of slightly secret squirrel culture to this space? People are operating and doing things, but in knowing groups. I mean, Gary put me on a group on Signal, which is, I haven't had a chance to catch all the messages flying through, and I'm just really busy at the moment. But is that the kind of culture at the moment? It's not out there. In other words, there isn't a sort of a website that's like BSV Marketplace. You can buy and sell goods and services here in BSV. Is there anything like that yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
They've just come out with there's BSV Tube, which is a YouTube on blockchain, which you can get paid for, or people would pay a microtransaction to watch your content, and you can also send them a donation as well if you want to. And there's multiple things coming all the time. There is chitter chatter of like a BSV bit like eBay, but there is something that is like could be used now, which is a WordPress plugin, which that means with WordPress and any website that uses that, you can plug in a BSV payment gateway now.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot to talk about after the show. I don't want to go into technicals here on this show. I think we stick to generals, but I run several sites. I've just used WordPress for donkey's years, like practically everybody else, So if there's a plugin for that, this is really... every time I talk about this, I get old saliva glands wake up again, and I start salivating again. I do, because the thing that you were saying about people just sitting on it. I've mentioned it here before. I got into a lot of trouble with the bank. People know this here. Well, if you're a new listener, you don't. I won't go on about it forever. But I got into a lot of trouble with the Bank of England 28 years ago. It was a big deal for me. It sort of was really quite intimidating, actually. And what we didn't have this tech. This tech didn't exist. All that existed was emails and databases and things like this. But we grew it. We had nearly 300,000 people in this thing at the point where they kicked 10 bells out of it, right? And you think 300,000 people, everybody's going to know, and no one knows. You don't realize how massive the amount of people is that's out there. And things can go on for years, effectively under the radar without people finding them. But what we were doing back then, what happened, we didn't even set it up, actually. Somebody said, I want to set up a forum to discuss all this stuff. We said, yeah, fine, we'll recommend it, because we were sending out physical newsletters. For a few years, there were just 3,000 or 4,000 people, and we used to print things up and mail them to people all over the world, like once a quarter. Because all of this sort of instantaneous, you couldn't speak over the internet, Skype hadn't come out yet or anything like that. So this is mid to late 90s that all this stuff was going on. But somebody set up this forum, and within about 3 to 4 weeks of it going there, people were buying and selling stuff with the in-house currency denomination. Now, this was all great to me. The thing was, I was in the role of a sucker, which is a long story, but I learned a lot. I learned how to be a sucker. I learned how organizations are infiltrated by other people, other agencies, to undermine it on purpose. Learned a lot about that, to create trouble and ruction amongst membership organizations. This happens every single time. But this is a very constructive thing, because one of the things that everybody says is, but I can't go and buy anything with it. Well, it's simply a matter of growth, isn't it, in the market? And as the marketplace grows, that's going to become more and more possible with each passing day. That's really what people want, I would have thought. It's what I would like. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And the fact that we can get food from you, and I guess you're not going to be the only one, are you?
No, I'm trying to educate farmers as fast as I can.
Right.
Because, the thing that twigs them is, if you don't put your name on it, the tax man is not going to find you for a very, very long time. And, they're going to be playing a catch-up game for a very long time, because the idea of the blockchain is that everything does have traceability. So if you and I do a transaction for, let's say, beef, our wallets both send a digital signature, and if someone can meet one of us, that they can be able to track our wallets. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think
but
so.
they would have to meet us. So a police officer would have to meet us in order to be able to trace our wallet. So it
Right.
could take a very, very long time. So the wallets that they'll find easiest are what you call big wallets that hold a huge amount of volume, or transactions of big volumes, because they will flag up really, really easily.
Yes.
So if you're just going around doing small microtransactions for your shopping, buying a coffee, CDs, DVDs, I know they don't exist anymore, sadly. People aren't going to really make notice of that. But if you're doing some sort of drug trafficking sum of money, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Got it. Well, there was that case over here with this Chinese lady recently who, I don't know if you saw that, it was a Bitcoin scam. She'd sort of ripped loads of people off in China, then legged it to the finest parts of London. And of course they were all over it like a rash because she had thousands of the things. One of the things I found out is that the agencies want to investigate those things because there's money in it and they get pats on the head. They're not going to come and chase you for £2 for a cup of coffee. Mind you, coffee's probably more than £2 these days, isn't it? I don't know what it is for a cup of coffee out there in the real world.
Okay, so mortgage these days.
Is it really?
It's probably had the inflation rate of a pint of beer.
I've got a question about wallets, right? I know we're into sort of the detailed stuff here, but I'd like to. By the way, Nimble Horse has written in YouTube chat, big magnet. He's shown a picture of a magnet. This is for getting this thing going. Equals beer. I think he's absolutely spot on. If you can get a beer with this stuff, BSV beer. In fact, can't we come in? Didn't there used to be a pint called BSV? They bloody did, I'm sure I used to drink a pint that was called BSV Best or something. We need to get a beer. Can we set up a brewery? Let's set up a brewery and start selling, bit beer or whatever you want to call it. I don't really care. I think it's absolutely... Yeah, beer will be the one. Beer, maybe cigarettes for you smokers out there, although there are far less of you than there used to be, I suppose. But beer would do it. Yeah, I'd be on for beer. BeerNet, count me in. Wallets, what are they? So when you say wallet to me, I'm just going to play sort of Johnny Idiot here, right? If you say wallet, I've had all sorts of ideas. I've never really looked into it because I mistrusted Bitcoin from the word go. And everything that you and Gary have said, I feel completely justified in my mistrust of it. It's exactly what I thought it was, even though I couldn't have given you sort of chapter and verse on all the details why. But when I think of a wallet, I've thought, people talk about physical wallets like, say, a USB stick that's got something on it. And that if you lose that USB stick, it's like you've lost all your cash. Is that correct, or am I talking out of my bottom?
So the beauty about Bitcoin is as long as you have your seed phrase and your...
This is that 12-word thing, that they often ask for.
Yeah.
That thing? Yeah.
Yeah. As long as you have that and your private key... Well, even if you just have your seed phrase, we can go hunting for your wallet, your addresses. So I recently had one of my wallets. I missed an email that said my wallet was closing, the brand of wallet that was, and I had to get my funds back. The best thing with Bitcoin is if you have your seed phrase, you can go into your old wallets, which are off, and then you can basically scrape back your funds that are on there, because you can get a HTTP or HTTP web link file that you put your seed phrase into. Then you can go and find your private keys, and then you can go and get your tokens back. But as long as you have your seed phrase down, you pretty much can go get them back anytime you want. And with something called DAR, if someone stole your tokens, so you had a hacker manage to get in.
So what would they, when you say that, when you say a hacker, what would they have got into? When somebody, if someone hacks into something to get your stuff, what's actually taking place there? What are they hacking into? I've still got a sort of dysfunction in my head about these coins. When we're talking about we're talking about lumps of data that have all been hashed up that are impenetrable to everybody except you, because you've got the key. This is the thing that assigns you ownership of it. Is that correct? Yeah. So this block of data, say I've got a block of data that represents or is £100, and they go and hack into it. What would they have actually done to do that? What do they have to do? I mean, I don't think it's easy, is it? But let's assume that somebody did. Where would they have gone?
To do it,
Yeah, sorry.
for them to do it, they would have to either get some sort of malware onto your device, so they can take control of your device whilst you're on it. Mm-hmm. Because, as I said, if they don't have the seed phrase, and we always encourage everyone to have their seed phrases and private keys written down on paper, not on computers. You've got that. They could, if you accidentally decided, or you decided you wanted to open your mobile wallet on your laptop, but you clicked on something, you downloaded a phishing site, that's another way that they could access it. And if you have a cold storage wallet, like a USB, there is what has been talked about. I don't use them, so I don't know everything about this. There is a sort of what they call a side door. So there's a point of entry that a hacker can get into between you sending it from the blockchain wallet to the cold storage wallet. There's like some sort of gap in code there somewhere. But they're the ways. But with the original Bitcoin protocol, it's got something called DAR, which means if you can show ownership, like, screenshots, backup points, because you can always show your wallet, what was in your wallet like 10 days ago, 5 days ago, you can claim back those coins and they can bring them back for you.
So there's a kind of training, isn't there? I can see straight. I mean, it's a big communications challenge in terms of getting across to the layman, who of course is not around, I guess, right now in this space that much. I consider myself at the moment to be one. I want to sort of play that role of sort of like being a slightly bumbling normal bloke with a yen to see the banks annihilated. That's my slight sort of peccadillo, Well, but
with exactly what you just said there, to see the banks annihilated, people need to be more protective of their money, and they need to take that seriously, and that's what this is all about. So the whole point, another big, huge point of Bitcoin was to be your own bank, to look after your own money, whether you don't have a pissing bank that's trading your money on the stock markets because it's sat in their vaults. You have got custody of your funds, which means that you've got to take different actions to make sure those funds, can't be taken. And there's various different wallets. We always advocate, me, Gary, and others that are helping people out with this, because we've researched this a very, very long time, that look after your funds properly. Don't have it all in one wallet. Spread it across multiple wallets. There are wallets on the system that you can put it into one wallet, and that wallet will spread it across hundreds of addresses. So you can take, let's say you've got 100 coins, you could put 0.5 of a coin in an individual address, and that wallet can, if you go and say what you want to buy a TV, that wallet will then go and take a bit from every single address, meaning you will be even closer to privacy than you were before, because if someone tries to basically find you, they're going to go, well, there's this big purchase which came from 100 addresses. That doesn't make sense to us. So it spreads you. The biggest point of Bitcoin is, over scale, you're in camouflage.
Right. Okay, so it's a bit like, I suppose, in the old pirate movies, they'd get on the island, wouldn't they? They'd have all the gold, they'd go and bury it in one place, and then everybody that buried it would get killed on the way back to the ship so that nobody knew where it was apart from the captain, the chief bad guy, right? That's how it used to work, yeah? And there'd be lots of stories, and it'd be very exciting and blah, 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 blah. But this is as if you've got a huge stash of gold, say 1,000 coins, and you go and put each one in 1,000 different locations across the island. And then whenever it's needed, there is some mechanism by which you could retrieve one from here and one from there and so on and so forth which basically acts as a kind of camouflage against the whole thing. There's not one big horde. And I guess that's a disincentive to robbers because they've got to now, if they're that keen, go all over the place to get it. But of course, the motivation behind most of those actions is to acquire large sums with the minimal amount of work and thievery. Whereas if it's dispersed in micro amounts all over the place, it's like scattered like dust, the way that you're talking about it. Yeah, and then you can
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's a bit. I mean, as we're talking,
it sounds.
Yeah.
It sounds complicated, but it is.
It is.
It's
but
far
it's
more
good.
simple than you think.
Right. Okay.
Because as I said, you can put it into. So Electrum SV is this wallet that you can do this in. So you can do it two ways. You could put 100 coins in, and you can click a function, and it will spread it equally between multiple wallets that you want, or multiple addresses that you want to want. Okay?
Yeah.
Or you can do it the slower way, and each time you send to the Electrum wallet, if you go and click to send again, it will always bring up a new address every single time that you want to add. So you can do it manually a slower way.
Do you think
question on that?
Yeah, sorry, Paul.
I mean, I'm not very techy by any means. So if we had a month's blackout, for example, obviously, God forbid that ever happens, but if we did, would that make that useless at that point, or would it still be usable?
Right. So some really cool things about Bitcoin. In the States, there is a company that have made it that you can text Bitcoin via text service. So, if things went down, as long as the phones are up, it can still be used. And I'm pretty sure if one of the guys was right by saying it, if you send something peer-to-peer and the electricity was off, it will still get recorded onto the blockchain because the blockchain is linked to your phone and linked to your device or wallet that you're using.
Yeah.
So when the power comes back on, all the right values will appear in all the right places.
Yeah, okay. That's something I've always thought about, is like with that side of things, whether that would actually affect it. But okay, that's interesting. Thank you.
I've thought that, Paul, a lot.
You want to clarify that? You want to clarify that with Gary? But I'm pretty sure I'm right on that.
Well, I suppose one of my main things that used to pop up is, this is all dependent on electricity. I mean, it's just the way you think at first blush. You go, right, electrical networks, computers, okay. But the scale of the amount of computers in the world now, it must be billions. I mean, I don't know what there are, but there's hundreds of millions of them. And, of course, if the electricity goes down, actually shifting Bitcoin's not going to be your top priority, really, is it? It's going to be dealing with the imminent collapse of society as we view it, I would have thought.
If electricity goes down, it's not going to bother Bitcoin servers because they're all off-grid. They're all on their own private energy systems. And these systems are already there. So the whole point of what blockchain was supposed to be, which is Web 3.0, meaning it's supposed to slide in and take over the entire internet.
Yeah.
That's what it's designed to do. So
no,
data sharing,
I haven't got my brain around that
emails.
yet. Yeah. I saw Craig Wright talking about that. So Craig Wright's a pivotal figure in this, isn't he? When I've spoken to people, they go, he's a nutcase and all this. I'm going, well, I think you're probably being led to think he's a nutcase by the enemies of this thing. I mean, the whole, we were just talking about the news and how you can't really, we're hitting a point where if you actually start trusting so-called information authorities, you're probably on a hiding to nothing. It's not possible really to ascertain just which side they're batting for. And there's been.
Well, it's quite funny, it's quite funny, isn't it, Paul? Throughout history, it seems that the badder they talk about someone, usually the gooder they are.
That seems
to be the case.
Yeah, we know about that with World War II, don't we, Eric? We know about that.
Yes,
we absolutely know.
Yes.
It's complete reverse. I mean, for those that have read a bit and just, asked a few questions, you realise that the story is almost 180 degrees in the wrong direction. This is not to say that Germany was entirely good. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that if you look at the story, the backstory that leads you into it, you go, oh, nobody told me about the backstory. No, well, it's actually really important because without it, you wouldn't understand why it happened. And once you see what the backstory is, you go, oh, hang on, this is not what I've been told, that I'm just getting the front end drama of the whole thing. But the actual causative reasons are the complete polar opposite of what they're trying to sell us and have successfully sold us, ever since that conflict ended. All the people that are the victims are portrayed as the foul enemy, and everybody, the foul enemy, is actually portrayed as victims. And it's you just go, surely that can't be right. And that's what when Gary mentioned that, he's getting a lot of bad flack. Someone said this to me the other day. I was having a chat, and they said, well, he just gets so much bad press. I said, that's immediately why I'm attracted to him. To trying to find out what he's got to say, because I know as soon as someone's got something that they don't like, their machine goes into operation, and it's so powerful because you get bombarded with it from hundreds of different sources who are basically only getting it from one source. They're all sort of copy and paste merchants. It's a big echo chamber just masquerading as slightly different news, or we've got an insight. They never show you their experts. Experts say, oh yeah, who's this? Who's this expert then? And they never rock up. You never find out the name or the people that are actually, doctoring these stories all the time. I mean, it's got so many signs for it that look good. I do sound like an eager beaver, don't I? And I can't help it, though, because it's the first time I've sort of seen something for a long time that might be able to carry so much good stuff with it. And the idea that there's going to be a culture where people buy and sell goods and services, that's it. That is the killer app. When it actually works in real life, and has to build up. I mean, okay, so you can't go out and spend it right now. And I know that, it was interesting with the thing that we did. People said, can I go and spend it in the supermarket? I said, well, if you can convince them to take it. Now, they couldn't, in major supermarket chains, they couldn't, but there were regions in America where they had lots of mom and pop stores. They all got into it. They said, yeah, we'll take a bit of this. It's a risk. We don't know. For all sorts of reasons. This is much more sound.
A great place it could be pushed is things like Facebook Marketplace, people that are trading directly with one another.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it gets ahead of steam, so I have bought straw off farmer friends of mine. I've bought chickens with BSV. I've bought feed. I've bought all sorts of things with it.
Right.
It's just using it and getting people and it's like, look, this has got value. It's got potential to go further. Do you want some? Because we can do a trade for it now. And they go, yeah, why not? Okay, I'll go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So getting it used, this is the biggest problem with BTC is, they're telling you to hold it, don't use it. The whole point of money is it's supposed to be liquid and flow and move, not be stagnant. And that's the problem we are in now. We've got all these multi-billion-dollar freaking hedge funds and banks that are acting like dams for liquidity, holding all the value whilst everyone else is basically, suffocating with nothing.
I mean, I think even if we view it in its least positive light, you could say that this is like it's an opportunity to have this thing fulfill what its designer intended, and thereby fight a rearguard action against how the usual forces are seeking to take control of it to carry on their dominion. That's really what they want to do. I mean, that's the impression that I get. So all of these, I remember going through that whole list of all those coins a couple of weeks ago with Gary on some chart. And basically, he was just pointing out that they're all effectively part of a big sort of smoke screen and a load of deceptive junk, most of them. I mean, I do sound like an advocate, and I've got limited knowledge at the moment, but I'm just repeating what he said to me. And that would not surprise me because they've got so much power to create these things, using the money that they've taken out of everybody's pockets for millennia to keep this control grid in place. That's, you pay for your own imprisonment.
Of course, the other thing that comes from that as well is that it sounds like you actually get your value for money, because I know there's people I've talked to who've been saying about, well, we need to start trading in gold and silver, but trading in gold and silver, you don't know. I mean, if you've got a nugget of gold, does that get you a can of beans, or does it get you a Ferrari? And you would never know. But by this system sounds like you actually get value for money, as it were, if you're buying using it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's really a matter of education. I think there'll be even better questions coming along the more we all know. But I think it's that. I mean, it does appear slightly alien to people who are just used to cash in the wallet and everything. But of course, when you point out to them that the money that they've got in their wallet is not theirs, this is, I mean, how would people really know that? I'm sort of defending them. They don't know. I've known it for years, Gary has got a simple way of expressing it. It's what the banks issue is currency, which is a security, which is fraudulent. Yeah, but there's so many aspects of their system that's fraudulent. Or I just think theft's better than fraud. It's theft, right? That's what they're doing. And yet you think it's yours. And the bank let you think it's yours because it works for their game to let everybody run around. But when push comes to shove, whenever there's a run on the bank, they just block your account. And if you cannot move a thing to settle a debt, it's like saying, I've got £1 million in the bank. Okay, great. Can you move it? No, they won't let me. Well, you've got nothing. You've now got a delusion. You're now at the effect of what you think is yours, and you've just found out that when it comes to actually transacting it, they can stop it because they've got the means to do that. Whereas what you're talking about here is that they don't have the means to. I mean, this could be either a transition thing, or this could sit for decades, hundreds of years working in this particular way. I mean, as long as it's going in the right direction, I'm in, if you know what I mean. If it's something that they are pained about, if it distresses them, and if at the same time it's empowering us, I hate using that word, but you got to, then why would we not be in? And of course, to everybody that's slightly skeptical, and I completely understand, I do sound like a salesman for a thing I don't fully understand yet, which is kind of true. But this thing doesn't cost very much for one of them right now, does it? It's relatively inexpensive. About what, $15 or something for one BSV?
Yeah, $15 at the current price, and they're divisible by 16 zeros.
Right.
So
it might be worth it for everybody to get at least one. Yeah, Paul.
I look at this as the most realistic person-to-person exchange medium that is on the table right now. I mean, there are people that are buying gold and silver and they're holding it, and okay, that's all well and good. But if you need a dozen eggs, a loaf of bread, and a can of beans, and you have a 1-ounce silver round, I really don't know if you can expect to get change from the vendor. It would force you to buy enough to get close enough to the value of that round or what the vendor will give you for it. And then he's just going to get a tip because he's going to keep the change. Now, also, gold and silver transfers, they are still trackable and traceable because ultimately what is that vendor going to do with that silver? He's got to turn it into something, and he's going to have to use a medium to do that. It can be monitored, it can be traced, and it could be intercepted in some cases. BSV, it's completely private. It handles small transactions beautifully. It is secret. It is only between the buyer and seller. So there's nobody looking over your shoulder, and there's nobody telling you what you can or cannot buy, like the digital currency that Trump would like to see us all settled to. I think, purely by virtue of the fact that it's private between buyer and seller, being able to talk a grocery store owner into taking it is going to take nothing more than, well, this is the same as me passing you a couple of quid under the table for a loaf of bread. Nobody knows you sold that to me. As far as they know, it went back to the vendor as bad stock or expired product.
Yeah. I mean, the killer app here, the killer app is, given that it grows and comes about, is the marketplace. The fact that people would actually be using it to buy wonky carrots, which I've picked as the symbol of the restoration of farming, the wonky carrot, because they pick on the wonky carrot, they're the supermarkets. They throw them out and they're full of goodness. And, who cares what shape it is? You can boil it, it doesn't matter. I think that's the killer app. Look, the thing we did was clunky and pathetic, but I learned a lot from it in terms of how human beings, certain parts of how human beings work. But the fact that people wanted to just buy and sell things as a natural instinct across themselves is just, it's the most fantastic thing. It was, for me it was, I just thought, oh, here we go. Because now you're in a position of, let's call it an attempt. I think it's more than that. This thing is so well thought through. And if they're anxious about it, this is really something, because they're not really anxious about much. They've got so much power to go and beat people up, but they don't know who the people are that are using it. This is fantastic. And if we can buy these goods and services, particularly beer, if there's any brewers out there, we need to get into this, really. A pub that takes it. Yeah, we just go, we can go and get, if you say, look, if against all things, no matter what happens, you can always get a pint with it, go, count me in. I'll tell you, you've got half the country straight away. Can I buy beer with it? Oh, yeah, you can get beer.
Beer SV.
Yeah, beer SV. Beer, special value. That's what it stands for. But English will call it something else. It'll go completely out of the window at some point. It will. So, I mean, Mr. F. See, I'm fumbling around, not knowing quite how to. I don't know what to call you, Mr. F. Yeah. How is it going then with the farmers? Is there kind of some kind of a campaign? Are you part of a sort of group that are going to farmers and do this? I mean, I know Mark the Bowler Hat's familiar with BSV and all that stuff, and he's running around all over the place doing things. But I guess it's going to. Is it a matter of building up sort of like a little pool, or maybe there is one already, of farmers that say, yeah, we take this stuff? That's I assume, a major sort of goal in these early stages.
Well, yeah, farmers are very much the old school, old type of communication, as in word of mouth.
Yeah.
So you could try and show them a video, and they're not going to take too much on board. But if you go and talk to them directly in markets and stuff, and I've spoken to, I can't even want to think actually how many I've actually spoken to on this, and loads of them have gone and just got a few, just got one or two, but they haven't yet started using it to actually transact. They're just using it might go up in value more so because largely I would say the majority of farmers across the world are in dire straits financially.
Yeah.
Anything that might save their farms, they're holding on to like dear life, which is a sad place for, in my opinion, the most important industry to be in. Because without food, there's no one. There's nothing.
There's no show. There's no radio. There's nothing. Everybody's just walking around with stomachache and not getting anything done. Absolutely right.
You don't have to worry about a doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, a soldier, or anything if you don't have food. And the food industry has had such a kick in for years and years and years. In this country specifically, farmers are so beaten down, it's normal. So they don't really know how to push back anymore. And if a small group of us do push back, the rest are going, well, you're wasting your time, boy. There's no point doing that.
Yeah.
No one's going to thank you. It's like, what?
That's what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about. You get the grocery store, the grocer, but you also have the farmer. Now, if the dollar has degraded to the point, the dollar or the pound has degraded to the point where it actually has no worth anymore, if you need food, you talk to a farmer, you say, okay, I need three heads of lettuce, 3 heads of cabbage, and a batch of broccoli. Now, you can either sell it to me via BSV, and I can pay you right now, or you can put that stock in the compost bin. And there isn't anybody going to be able to tell you what you did. Did you sell it or did you compost it? It doesn't make any difference. I can pay you right now. Pounds are worthless. The dollars are absolutely gone. They're out of there. And I don't know if you trade heavy metal or precious metals. Heavy metals. Yeah, boy, wouldn't that be cool? Trading heavy metals. Hey, I'll take a batch of mercury over here. Don't forget the barium. Anyways, talking people into taking BSV is not going to be a problem, especially considering the entry fee.
Well,
is so low.
the food that they throw away that's perfectly good. There's a marketplace in that straight off because they get nothing for that. You go, well, as long as. So the main thing is to develop all the communication connections so that in your local area, you've got somewhere that's within travelling distance for you to go and retrieve this stuff. I go, yeah, I actually love eating wonky carrots that the supermarkets reject. Don't let them reject them. We'll come and buy them off you with BSV. I mean, what difference does it make?
Wonky carrots, stressed spinach, and battered broccoli. Hey, give me more of that.
So I guess a sort of an initial. By the way, we're coming to the end of the hour. I've just checked the clock, so I've got to do my sign off. So you've been listening to Paul English Live here on WBN. We're carrying on a little bit longer over on Rumble and YouTube and other stations. If you want to carry on listening, go to paulenglishlive.com and click one of the links there. There's even a radio player at the top of that page, so you can just click that. But if you want to come in and chat, click either the Rumble or the YouTube thing, whichever is your preference. That's what we're using at the moment. We'll be back again same time next week. Next league? There's a good slip. Here on WBN. We're going to play a little song now as a crossover, and we'll be back after this. Time for a bit of Daniel, because I haven't played him for a little while, and I do like this. It's jolly good. We'll see you on the other side of this song. It's a couple of minutes long.
I'm going to have to head off now if that's okay, chap.
Calm is in the basement, mixing up the feminism. Labour want migrants to vote them into government. Slander all the white blokes, cast out, chased off. Professors got them brainwashed, Soros got them paid off. Look out, Brits, you're gonna get hit. God knows when, but they're doing it again. Use the pronouns and save space, looking for a new trend. The men in the grooming gangs are shipped in, and the feminists are thrilled and ignore the victims. Granny got beat up, person a bag tuck, Bobby's on the beat cut, monitor your Facebook. Don't offend the snowflakes, let them play patty cake. Cops will be on their way, orders from Theresa May. Look out, Brits, you're gonna get hit. Walking no-go zones, don't stop the shit post. Better stay away from those who hang around with Owen Jones. Keep a clean nose, watch the game shows. You don't need an anchorman to know which way the sheep vote. Grid girls, sex cells, hang around with incels. Think well, hard to tell if feminism's gonna sell. Die hard, jihad, they get back, wear a veil. Sped jail, checking mail, get a house in Notting Hill. Look out, Brits, you're gonna get hit by losers, cheaters, men on scooters. They're clamping down on tweeters, words that are hurtful to Angela Merkel. Don't believe the leaders, they want to ban your speeches. Get born, conform, romance, no thanks. Pay your tax, get stressed, protest. Lied to by the fake press, please her, fleece him. White male cyclists are racist. 20 years of schooling and they put you on the day shift. Look out, Brits, they keep it all hid. Better dumb down the man's role, send them out to battle. Alistair Campbell lied to all the cattle. They blame it all on the Russian, they want to nuke 'em. The crook covered up the Jimmy Savile scandals.
Jimmy Savile scandals, whatever next, eh? Oh dear. Some things just go round and round and round. Jimmy Savile is now Mr. Epstein. Good gravy. Whatever. I don't know. Anyway, we're here in hour 3. Eric, I was just wondering if you had any questions or any sort of observations, anything you want to say. We were just going through quite a lot of details there, weren't we?
I know the square root of what's it all. I mean, unless I got money, I work on the principle of unless the money's actually in my hand, I ain't got it. And I'm into sort of gold and that type of thing. But the thing is, it sounds very interesting. But how does a complete idiot, where it comes to Bitcoin and things like that, start? I'm interested in anything that, shall we say, brings down government, because I think we need government like an elephant needs a hang glider. We don't need governments. I really don't believe. They're the biggest killers ever. So I think we need to ignore government out of existence. Just tell them to sod off. We don't want them. That's it, basically.
And a government only have power with finance.
Yes. Good point.
Yes, so this could asphyxiate them. We could deny them the oxygen that they breathe, which is their control of us, courtesy of their true masters, which is the financial mob.
Which is usury.
Which is usury.
Right.
It usually is, absolutely. So
and do you know
sorry,
who
Eric.
Do you know who the no, sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry, I chomped over you. Please carry on. But no, all right. What I was going to say is, do you know who the real Prime Minister of Great Britain is? People always get this wrong. It's the director of the Bank of England. Is the real Prime Minister of England, not Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer.
Have you got a little person with you, Mr. Effin Farmer?
No, it's crying on the monitor. One second, let me get to it.
Sorry about that. It's always nice to have young listeners, but that's possibly...
No, it's sorry, me. Sorry, it's just me looking at me tax return. But Mr. F. in Farmer, I'm very interested in because in your I was going to say I was going to be interested in your meat, but you might get the wrong idea in purchasing some meat because you heard about the gay butcher. Do you hear about that? Who his partner left him because he's put his meat up a couple of coppers. You know, and so it's a terrible one. That one is.
I mean, you know what I was thinking, Eric? I think everything you said is actually where the bulk of everybody is at, really, which is, this is so technically, it can't, no, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of unsettling in a way. I understand that. I think, certainly for people of a certain vintage age, which of course we are, although I think I've got most of my brain around where it's at, and it really strikes a chord in terms of tactically what it can do, apart from what it can do pragmatically. But I think the easiest way for people to get into this is to buy one. Because they're 50, they're 12 quid. Yeah, exactly. So that's what's...
So...
Yeah, go on.
Well, can the effing farmer please tell us how you effing will buy one?
I bet you haven't heard that before.
If you see some of my videos, it's self-explanatory anyway. Basically, if you go to a website called Orange Gateway, Orange Gateway, that is the easiest way for anyone to get hold of one. That especially if you don't have a lot of technical know-how, that's just a basic exchange. And then we advocate moving that to a BSV wallet, which once you know someone that's already using it, it's pretty simple for anyone to then share how you do that. It's not complicated. I think there's also things online on how to move cryptocurrencies and block stuff online.
Can I rudely talk over you there? I've written Orange Gateway, and what was the next thing you mentioned? I didn't get it down in time because you remember I'm just wearing this a BS what a
BSV wallet. So something like Handcash, Electrum SV would be more secure. A BSV wallet.
Are there any websites at the moment or really simple things that sort of nail this down? Do this, do that. There must be sort of links and places where this has been. I mean, I'm getting the urge to actually do this for myself, to help others, to sort of like go here, I've put a page up, this is what you do. And to hold people's hand, just as everybody needs their hand holding when you're going into a new space. You just do. It works. It's fantastic. To simplify the onboarding, that's the phrase, isn't it? The onboarding process so that people can get involved for like 12 quid. I bet everybody could find 12 quid, right? And just have it. And even if you don't use it, you can look at it and it can start to percolate in your brain and you can start to see it grow. I think, you go, well, all I've risked is 12 quid. You can't cry about that.
If I want my 12 quid back, I mean, how can I get the dosh back in my handy pandy?
I'd buy it
so
off
I've got
you.
Me 12, so I've got £10 and £2 notes, you see. So I want to buy it. So I bought me 12 quid and I want to buy myself, say, a sausage next week, which will be £12 each. So how do I buy my sausage at £12?
You need a BSV sausage supplier, don't you?
So I can only spend it with someone that sells sausages, or
yeah. But this is the great driver, right? I think that this is an opportunity. You see, if we're gonna, this is just me being all positive, right? Yeah, you can take this with a pinch of salt if you like. We're gonna have to get off our arses and go out and mump into people and sell it. And it's not a hard sell in the sense that you're not actually giving them something that's a rip-off at all. This is an opportunity to bloody the nose of the bank so severely they never get off the canvas. I really think it is. It's just we're not going to see it next week. But if in the interim period, whilst that process is building, you can buy your wonky carrots and your sausage, you ain't got too much to grumble about. In other words, people are often saying, what do I do? Well, here's a thing. I'm not saying it's going to be for everybody, but it ought to be. The more people that do it, the more value it's got. Because if you know, you could wave a magic wand and say, by the way, 40 million people in England have now got a BSV wallet and they all accept and they all buy and sell goods and services. That's the secret app. That's the killer app. It's the scale of the market. It's the acceptance of it. The reason you take a pound, Eric, and everybody accepts a £10 note is because they know the guy next to him will accept the £10 note. The agreement has been built. Everybody that's passing the £10 notes around does not know that they are merely the bearer of a sheet of paper that's owned by the bank, which is a promissory note for a security, which makes it a currency, which means it's not money. They don't know that. And when you start telling people that in the pub, and I've sometimes tried, it's like it's one of the best nightcaps you can give people. They're just gone. Because it is. It sort of wears you out, makes you threadbare in the head. You go, what are you talking about? You know, bugger off and get me a beer.
What about the filth, the math? I mean, to me, governments are demonic. So, are the Rothschilds and are they gonna sit back and say, well, that's nice. You know, these people are doing something on their own, which is going to make us redundant. Are we going to get attacked? That's what I'm going to ask.
The best thing about this, they've already done it, and they've shown how worried they are about it.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
If you go back in the history of Bitcoin, when it was just one Bitcoin, in 2017, 2018, they did what we call the Great Hijacking. Now, myself, in 2017, 2018, when I started hearing the gentleman Craig Wright was the most evil, horrible man in Bitcoin, in crypto, can't be trusted, a liar, a fraud, a scammer, and then everyone was going on about BSV is the most terrible blockchain, it's useless, it's worthless, don't touch it with a barge pole, it's going to give you AIDS and worse. You start, at that time I was like, oh yeah, that's the worst thing, don't go near that. And then on my journey of learning, and I got to this through, basically I did a lot of tracing other cryptocurrencies back to, ironically, BlackRock's, Vanguard, State Street, JP Morgan's, Bank of America. You start going, well, this is what is supposed to be overthrowing this lot being funded by them. And then that found my way back to Bitcoin, as in the white paper, and being, well, hang on a minute, BTC is nothing like this anymore. And then I stumbled across BSV, and then subsequently, a couple months after that, I bumped into Gary, who, some perfect things aligned. And he gave me information. He didn't tell me anything. Or tell me to do anything. He just gave me information, and I went away to try and prove him wrong. And I couldn't. I couldn't prove him wrong. And I back-tested everything that he gave me, researched everything, and I couldn't fault it. And then I was like, this is what I've been looking for all this time. So effectively, Bitcoin is the ultimate grassroots movement, which they couldn't overthrow. They could only hide it. So in 2017, 2018, they created two copies, BCH and BTC. But they ran the greatest advertising campaign in probably human history and got people to buy BTC, and they got everyone to buy something that the white paper didn't display through really, really good ads and selling. So when you find out the truth and you go, this can unseat and basically throw the finger up to every single thing that I want to throw the finger up to, because I hate the banks, I hate government, I hate taxes, I hate rules. I just want to be left alone.
Excellent.
You are known as the
you're a
effing
man
farmer.
of my heart.
You nearly lived up to your namesake. Then that was fine though. You control that really well.
I didn't know if I'm allowed to swear, Paul. So I'm trying to.
If you had done, what could I have done about it? We try to restrain it because it's for a family audience, a dysfunctional family, but a lovable one nonetheless, full of curmudgeons and people. I would have thought the vast majority of people listening to what you just said are just nodding and going, "Yep, we hate their guts," and we have a strong aversion and dislike of their behaviour. And of course, there's a kind of it's embarrassing as well to realise what suckers we've been for so long. But that was then. This is now, and we've got an opportunity here to begin the process of removing our sucker idiot status. It's the fact that it's pragmatic is exciting me, that I can use it. I mean, just to let you know, Eric, I've got a wallet here on my phone, and it's got 40 BSV in it. I bought 40 the other day, right? And I don't sit there mithering over it or anything. Or is it going to go up in value? According to Gary, it's going to go absolutely ballistic if Craig Wright drops his whatever it is. He's got like 1 million BTC. Because I understand this is on the skullduggery level, right? That he's intending to cause that rush so that they're all queuing up and can only get through at the rate of 7 a second. That's what, because he doesn't like it. And I've seen some of his speeches as well, and I like the guy a lot. He's talking about all the things that he's talking about families. He's talking about people buying and selling things directly, privately, without them being able to get in. And all I would say is, it's not that I think that this is definitely going to do it. I don't know. There are other things that come along in these processes that no one can anticipate, and particularly when they get backed into a corner, they're going to go berserk. I mean, they're already berserk anyway, but it's not. But what else are you going to do? You're just going to sit there on your hands and do nothing? I think for 12 quid at the moment, it's worth everybody getting. It's like having a stake psychologically and saying, okay, I like the idea of us having our own money system and all that kind of stuff and getting into this thing. Here's my little initial statement to do it. And
It sounds good.
I'm right on. It's different to all the other stuff. It's taking all this speculation out of it, although I think that's going to come in. But the fact that in the interim period we can buy these wonky carrots and I can get meat from you, Mr. Effin Farmer, is just, it's cool. It's so cool.
That's brilliant, isn't it? That is brilliant. And let me ask you, Mr. Effing Farmer, are you actually making a guillotine there for use when against governments? I mean,
for chopping melons.
Yes, chopping melons.
Yeah. I think that's too nice.
Can I share a story?
Oh, now, come on. We don't want to get too cross with the people that have destroyed the entire planet for the last 3,000 years, do it? Oh, hang on. It's probably justified, to be quite honest here.
I think the William Wallace, what happened to him is far more required for all of them, in my personal opinion.
No, I think using bungee rubber instead of the actual rope, and then hang them over a sewage farm. So that they just go backwards and forwards down into the sewage, out again, into the sewage, out again, and you can sort of bet on how many times they're going to bounce. Much more fun. It's just a doing.
I mean, do we run the book in BSV? Will there be a BSV bookmaker? There'll have to be, won't there? You'll have to put all your bets on in BSV. If you're a betting man, I'm not, but if you do,
there's already gambling apps.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Someone's written here, Mr. F.
A couple of years ago.
It says maybe Effin Farmer could do. It's such a good name. You make us all swear all the time. Did you know that you were doing that? It's quite good. Maybe the Effin Farmer could do an hour show teaching others how to set themselves up on BSV. I think that's all coming. Most of my conversations with Gary are a lot of them. A key aspect is how do we break this down into like multiple 1 and 2 minute videos with all the component parts of it, literally for high school children aged 15. I mean it. If you can get it across at that level, and I bet we can, it's just not being tried, because most of the early advocates of a thing, understandably, like researchers, are absolutely, brain deep in the stuff, and it's a big communications challenge to get it out of people's heads. This goes for all sorts of things, some of the things that we've talked about in the past as well, so that the layman can just earwig in on the conversation and go, oh, that sounds good. It's when we can connect up, because people are in the condition that they're in, and us talking about giving people their own money. We understand it here in this conversation, but a lot of people today won't. Tomorrow is our job to make, part of our job is to make sure that tomorrow, in an upcoming tomorrow, they do. They can grasp it. And I just think it's like riding a bike. Get on it and ride it. And we'll worry about where we're going to go afterwards, but we're not going to go anywhere unless you can ride a bike. So let's get wallets out there, get one in there, and then ask more questions as you go. It's like £12 to join a club. Think of it like that. And you've got a stake in it straight away. We just got to dress this up in a way that it can be more acceptable to more people. Because
tomorrow, yes.
Yeah, just easy. It's not a big deal. It's not a risk. £12 is not a risk, is it? It's not. Come on.
Yeah, but if you're just tight-fisted as I am, it is. I take big steps to save my shoe leather. That's how bad it is.
A couple of years ago, I ran into somebody that flipped real estate. They flipped houses, and they made quite a bit of money. $500,000, $750,000, $1 million, whatever. And they threw hundreds of thousands worth of dollars into Bitcoin. And what they were doing was they would get up in the middle of the night and they would just transfer their digital currency from one digital currency to another. And over the course of a year, they were doing this and not paying really any attention to what was going on. And then the hammer fell. Then they found out that the exchange that they were doing was reporting to the IRS, the individuals representing Satan, every single exchange they did. Now, what the IRS considers a Bitcoin transfer or a digital currency transfer as a capital gain. So they're going to charge you capital gain tax on 40% of everything that you transfer. So every time she would transfer from Bitcoin to something else and then back to Bitcoin again, she was creating taxable events. And by the time she knew it, she was like $1 million in the dumper with the IRS when she actually lost $40,000 in digital currency.
Right.
So that
leads me to believe. That leads me to believe that the core difference between the existing digital currencies that are out there and BSV is untrackable and untraceable, and there isn't anybody that's going to be causing or generating a taxable event and ratting on you, narking on you to the individuals representing Satan or whatever the taxing authority is in Britain or England or whatever.
Excellent advice.
There isn't going to be anybody that's doing that. So basically, when push came to shove, she put like 500 G's into digital currency, wound up $4 million in the shitter with the IRS. Just because she was bored and was trying to figure out how the whole thing worked and trading this for that and that for this. And every time she sold a digital currency, it generated a taxable event. And when she took that money and bought a digital currency, it was ignored. And then when she sold that digital currency, she generated another taxable event, didn't cash out any money, but bought another digital currency. And over the course of a year, she screwed herself. I don't see BSV doing that.
That's a good point.
If you don't sell the token or if you don't sell the coin back to what is perceived value at the moment, dollar, pound, there's no taxable event.
That's an interesting dynamic because people want to go back. All of us, right? Actually, I don't, to be quite honest, because I've already seen it once. But I understand why people are measuring things with a dollar or a pound or a euro price tag in their head. It's because you do it all the time. It's part of your conditioning. Understandably, you've got to get by and deal with commercial requirements. So that's how you're going to measure the price of things. But when things start to get priced in BSV, why would you want to go back? So I think it's just a process that everybody would be better off starting as soon as they can to get a feeling for what's happening here. That that's my emphasis. This is my take on it. It won't be everybody's. In fact, probably in the minority, I guess. There'll be speculators in there going, I've just got some because I know it's going to go to $100,000 or something in 2 years or whatever they believe, which they may or may not be correct about. I don't know. But even if you've got all that stuff, if you have loads of this supposed purchasing power, you still need to buy your wonky carrots along the way. That's the most important thing. And in other words, if we still view everything in terms of reliance on the banks psychologically, they've got us. It's to leave it.
I think this is brilliant, this idea, because we need the first steps of breaking ourselves from the curse of government, and it is a curse, because I think this is the first steps. You're right, with finance. We need to strangle them, because when you think of the amount of money they're getting, I mean, I was reading an article the other day that said before 1913 in America, there was no such thing as income tax. Taxation was incredibly low, and they could run a full military, schools, all kinds of stuff with very low, with no income tax. Whatever you earned, you kept, and it wasn't complicated. And once in 1913 the Federal Reserve Act was signed, then taxation just went off the scale, like it is in this country. I mean, taxing people who have lost their loved ones and things like that, it's horrendous. It's just theft all the way through. And let's face it, if that money went to what they say it's supposed to go to, because I always talk about benevolence when it doesn't exist, we'd be living in absolute bleeding utopia by now, wouldn't we? So it doesn't. It's rubbish, So, and people just can't seem to get it into their thick skulls that we don't need government.
I think there's loads of things that we can't. There's loads of things I can't get into my thick skull at first blush. Seriously, I know it. I just go, whoa, I'm not getting this here and this. That. I don't mean this conversation, but there's all sorts of things. I think it brings up a lot of stuff. There's some interesting comments, actually, just floating through here on some of the chat. One is you could, from Truth is Our Reality, you could probably get an AI platform to create a learning sandbox for digital coins. Yeah, probably could. I think you've just created a job for yourself. I've only got 24 hours in my day and I have to spend some of them asleep. But yeah, that's what's needed. Also, psychologically, there's a big challenge here. It really is. Alice Gorgeous she says, I know I'm a girl, but this is so boring. Yeah, it is. I know exactly what you mean. If you talk to anybody about banking, right, they fall asleep. It's like I was saying. That's the great power that they have to control your life. It's one of the aspects of it. It's so dull, right?
Can I ask
so you don't look at it, you go, it's
though?
not exciting, it's not got flashing lights, it's not got all these things. I'm not mocking you, Alice. That's not what I mean. It's completely, I totally understand what you're saying. People have struggled. We've mentioned it here before. There are people in our recent past, both in this nation and in America, who've talked about this stuff and know what the score is. And you can't get it to transmit. This is the great challenge. People go, oh, I'm not bothered about that. And not being bothered about it is the bit that keeps us under their thumb. We're going to have to. This is probably the period for nerds, let's call us all nerds for now, or would-be crypto nerds, to get on and build that base. The foundation's there, it seems to me. Now it's got to be, you need early adopters, and then the early adopters have got to become fabulous marketeers. That's the whole idea. And the best way to market is to get people to just start using it, I think. We're seeing in it other things, aren't we? And those other things are absolutely there. I'm seeing a much different picture, and it's so close to how I used to think 30 years ago, or what I was involved with all of this stuff that set me off on this trajectory, down the whole finance thing, then looking at scripture, then looking at history, then looking at all this stuff. That was my chain of events. That's mine. Everybody's is slightly different. But this is the key one. I'm just going to repeat something I always say. Until we get this one ticked off at the top of the to-do list, we're not fixing anything else. Nothing. Nothing gets fixed until this is fixed. And it looks as though we've been given a tool where we could do a lot of fixing. I don't know how big we could make it, but, I
agree with you. Yeah, now, I'd like to ask a very simple question. Now, you, Paul, I believe your son, sell these nicotine things, which I actually, thank you very much. I got them yesterday. Very nice.
Oh, well done. Super.
The lemon ones, yes. Great, super. I said I would, and I did. And now, what I was going to say is, supposing you accept this new coinage thing, so I want to buy your knick-knack things, knick-knack paddywhacks. So I want to buy a tin, I can't remember how much they are, £8, aren't they, okay? So I say, right, it's £8, how do I physically get using this new currency? How do I sign it over? How do I get it into?
So what I'm going to do
accounts?
here's what I'm going to do. Mr. F was just talking about a plugin for WordPress that will actually take BSV payments. I'm going to do that next week. I'll get that done. Right. This is the stuff. This sort of grindy glue stuff.
So I just send it
then
over.
I'll let you know, and I go,
WordPress.
Eric, I've got a special secret squirrel page here, right? And then if you've got BSV and you want to buy them in BSV, you'll be able to do it. Yeah, that's exactly what we'll do. Why would we not do that?
That is brilliant.
And we've even got stock that's very close to its sort of best by date as well. We've got, because the thing's been going great, but we just sometimes end up with stock like that. We never know quite what to do. We don't want to sort of undersell our main price and all that. It's just normal sort of retailing things. You go, bloody hell, we've got this left over, right? Well, we could make those available at a reduced price for BSV customers and build up a private parallel market. You know, it's only but I want to do that. I mean, I really want to see that happen because I want to receive this stuff in. Because, you know, I do. I personally want to do that. Yeah.
Why should you have some bastard stealing it from you, from the mafia government?
But you can actually get meat. You can get meat from Mr. F.
Well, Mr. F, I'm interested in your. I'm interested in your. No, I better not say it. Your sausages and things. You know, I mean, it's all bits of bar lamb, do you? And bits of moo cows and things like that. And
yeah, I've got a friend of mine. I got a friend of mine that was just talking 2 days ago, actually, about putting. He's got a website. He does a lot of smoked meats, and he's looking at putting the BSV plugin in as well. So,
I mean, is it going up in value? I mean, if I bought 12 quid's worth, I suppose it might be 15 quid next week, or £12.50 or something, or it might go down. Who knows?
Yeah, it might.
But it's interesting. Sorry to jump all over you.
Got to be used. Yeah.
I was just that comment that you just made, Eric. Absolutely, it's really interesting comment. Have you noticed we measure things? This is it. That's in your head. Measuring things in pounds and dollars, right? This is. Yeah. I've often thought if you could come up with a ticketing system that's got this different name on it, and to start thinking of those things, it's the same with gold. People go, "Hey, gold's worth a lot more. It used to be £2,000 an ounce. Now it's £3,000 an ounce, or whatever it is." Yeah, but what that's actually telling you is that fiat currency is worth less. You need more of it.
That's right.
So, you know, and it's just the way that we're oriented. Now, why are we oriented that way? It's understandable because everything out there is priced in this stuff and everybody accepts it. It's the fluidity of the reason why it's cash, as we think about it, is like I was saying earlier, you'll take a tenner off me because you can give it to Mr. F. He'll probably take a tenner. He might not soon. He might just go, if it's not BSV, you can get stretched, right? And that forces people over onto that side of things. I mean, I saw that before when we were doing this thing. People just wanted to trade. And the price, actually, it finds its own level in terms of what goods and services are being offered in that currency. If there's not much, it ain't worth much. So there were people going around and said, if I could get this chain of stores to accept it, it's really valuable because now I can get the stuff that I want. So it's about all of these sort of factors coming in. But really, the farming and the food is without a doubt the best place that we could start, as long as we can get a brewery in there as well and people can get beer shipped to them, that kind of stuff. Anyway,
it's like if we just look at the price of BTC being the Bitcoin everyone perceives as Bitcoin, which is $60,000 a coin at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just think of that in a role reversal moment, which is the simplest way of putting it. Suddenly everyone's going, I want that thing, but the difference being the one that's there at the moment doesn't do anything other than 7 transactions per second, which means it's pretty much useless. And the one that is building, architecture over everything across websites and stuff, plugins, and does 1 million transactions a second, well, one's got a lot more growth long term.
It's got that thing of creating the killer app, which is that the marketplace of users really using it to buy real stuff is going to be much bigger. And then I don't know what we're going to moan about though if we knacker the banks. There'll be something to moan about, won't they? Do you know what I mean? But it's definitely got that possibility. Yeah.
And you'll never knacker them. I don't think you'll ever will knacker them. They'll still carry on.
Well, they're going to come in and buy
They'll
it.
do.
They'll come in and buy BSV, won't they? They'll be buying a lot of it.
Yeah, well, the first thing they'll also do is they will offer some sort of really good interest rate if you store your BSV with them. That's what they'll be looking to do.
Yep.
To try and be relevant. But the whole point of Bitcoin is to hold it yourself, not to leave it in a third party.
It's what's that old headline? Don't envy bankers, be one.
Yeah.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But yeah, it's an internal rewiring job, though, isn't it? In your head.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
We're looking at the Airbnb and Uber of the finance industry.
Right.
And there's nothing they can do to stop it. They've tried to hide it, but they can't turn the protocol off. The rabbit, as the saying goes, they've let the rabbits let out the hat.
Mm-hmm.
They've
And
tried to hide it. They've done their best to hide it, but it's still being spoken about.
And that's something you don't buy now, rabbits. Used to be able to go down there's no butchers left now. We can't buy rabbits anymore.
No.
Do you still sell rabbits? Do you know people who sell rabbits? Dead ones,
Oh.
I mean ones that you eat.
I could sort it out.
Because I think there'd be a big market in it, because it's rabbits that kept this country alive during World War II, and the government was so delighted that it kept the people alive that after World War II they spread myxomatosis around to kill all the rabbit population off. And that's the good of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how helpful the government.
Yeah,
are.
I mean, we've all got kind of Stockholm syndrome to varying greater or lesser degrees. In other words, whether we like it or not, we're kind of enmeshed with this entity that abuses us. But there's also positives. People, we've all grown up, whether we like it or not. I don't know if reliant is there, but with the state completely wrapped around our entrails, literally from the moment we're born, it's just the given. You're like fish swimming in water. You don't even notice it until you suddenly, something wakes you up and you go, hang on, this can't be right. So it's very challenging internally to take these things on board because everybody wants somebody else to do it for them and do it nice. So the banks say, well, we'll look after your money for you and we'll do it nice. And that's not true. They don't do that. This is why we get plunged into wars against our will, and things happen because we've not taken hold of the thing. So we might have an opportunity. Well, we do. We've got an opportunity. Whether it can scale up quick enough or not, I don't know. It's going to be really... it's going to be quite a ride. I think it's going to be some ride, this. But I know what I was going to say as well. A positive is this. In the past, whenever any of these things have happened, they were able to annihilate them. Right? These other currencies, like they blew up Libya. They killed Gaddafi because of what he's doing, right? But this stuff has got certain qualities and characteristics to it that this is why it's still here. I mean, if they didn't like it in 2017, why don't they just kill it? Well, they obviously couldn't. They've got a lot of power. They've got all this money to spend on advertising and lie. They couldn't. The fact that it's still here, that we're talking about it, whatever it is, 17 years after it was first laid down on a sheet of paper, and that all this other ruckus has been brought against it, and yet here we are having a conversation about something right at the root of it. I've learned more in these conversations with you and Gary about this stuff in terms of clarity than I did. I didn't waste my time reading the press because my instinct was telling me it was all nonsense, and it's turned out to be true. And yet it's still here. They haven't got rid of it. I've got some on my phone, and I'm not the only one. So it's a matter now of mobilizing it, of getting it moving and buying goods and services. That's where the perceived value goes. Oh, yeah, I do all my regular shopping with this now. What? Yeah. I'm not worried about that. It's a process of weaning yourself off of their system and onto this one. And some people are going to find it easier than others. That it's like going cold turkey because we are basically banking addicts. They've turned us into addicts for their money. You need more of it, don't you, next year to get the same hit. It's just like a drug because of inflation. Oh, yeah, you need more money now. Oh, we've all got to ask for money. Everybody's just arguing all the time for more money because they want to get the same amount of stuff. With this, something strange could happen. I think it already feels strange. in a good way. Slightly different show tonight, everyone. As you can tell, we've been really stuck on this for an hour and a half and probably a bit longer, and I'm kind of glad of it. I know it's a different sort of show, and it might have sort of driven some of you bug batty with the detail that we've gone into, but I'm really cool about it. Mr. F, would you like to talk about something else? Should we change the tone for the last half hour or 20 minutes or so? Is there any sort of strange areas or historical things that you wanted to bring up or that we could just talk about? I know we had a fantastic conversation today, but we can't go into all of those things here on the air. But they were pretty cool. Is there any sort of other aspect of all wars are bankers' wars, just coming back to the theme of the show, that you wanted to talk about? Or anybody wanted to talk about, really?
Oh, all wars are bankers' wars. Well, they are. Mm-hmm. There's always someone that makes money from war. The Rothschilds are, a key figure point behind most wars, or still to this day. Mm-hmm. Even if old Jacob Williams' dad is gone. It's at this point, if people are still looking at wars, thinking that there are two countries that have suddenly decided they don't get on, why is there an Antarctic peace treaty of every country signed off on one place, but yet can't get along when, in closer quarters?
Yep.
There's a fundamental problem.
There is.
Yes.
Well, speaking of bankers always making money, there's a guy out in the States, Thomas Massie. Paul will be familiar with him. This is something that this is a minute-long clip that somebody sent me the other day. This is just about the current situation.
A few people in America do make money off of war, and they make a lot of money off of war. So they want the music to keep going. They don't want the music to stop.
Right.
And as soon as, Biden was serious about getting out of Afghanistan and did get us out of Afghanistan, we were still spending $50 billion a year in Afghanistan after 20 years. As soon as he got us out of there, guess what? We start spending an average of $50 billion a year in Ukraine. Mm. And now that that's winding down, guess what? This thing in Iran is heating up. And regardless of whether our troops engage directly, those are all American munitions. And those stocks are, the people who run those companies are excited that now, as soon as we deplete our stockpiles, we're going to have to fill them back up. Like, it's not like they're holding a bunch of inventory, but the U.S. government does. Ostensibly, those are weapons that are supposed to defend us that are now being used. And so they know we'll buy them back. And I have this theory that there's about $50 billion a year of things that need to get blown up and replaced in order for that segment of the economy to stay healthy.
How about that? Maybe not news to everybody, but so that's recent, So that's 50 billion at least, and we know that all wars are bankers' wars, and that they have, this is the reason. Is the reason for World War II and all these other things. I mean, it's just, it's mad as a box of frogs. So, maybe we've been given an opportunity here to actually begin a process of undermining that. I think we have. We're just going to see how, but that won't really matter, I think, to the layman. The bottom line will be, can I get me wonky carrots and me beer? Yep, that'll drive it, I think.
BSV, yeah, I like it. Is there a logo for it yet? Have they come up with a nice logo?
It's a dragon.
Oh, excellent.
What colour's the dragon?
Excellent.
Like a yellowy gold.
Oh, that'll do. Yeah, that's all right. That's pretty good. So are you going to be out on do you go out on the road and go to events and things, or is it just you sort of desk jockey like most of us and, we're sat behind screens pumping that out at the moment, although I think this is going to change?
For a while, I was going out and doing talks to hundreds of farmers about farmers to action that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. I think you can go into that. You were saying that you set that up. When did you set that up then?
About 18 months ago.
Right.
Basically, I'd had enough. I had enough of the way, as farmers, we're treating this country. Had enough of taxes that farmers are milked for in this country. fed up with hearing farmers tell all their stories of what bad is happening to them because we're all going through shit all the time. And quite honestly, I want to destroy a government. And I started opening my mouth and found that there was a lot of people that agreed with me. My overall plan was I wanted to shut the country down, but I just couldn't get enough farmers to get together, and then we were infiltrated by the small hats.
Nice.
Well, the Jehovah's Witnesses.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're kind of like that, but different and more annoying.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you then left that, did you, at some point?
We decided as a group we were trying to turn it into a new union all at the same time, working on the momentum that we were gathering. And we wanted to take on the likes of the NFU, which are as infiltrated and corrupt as government. Like the NFU, many people don't know that the NFU in I can't remember the date now. I think it was like 1958 or something, sold our right as farmers to protest. So when farmers have gone to protest in the past since, the NFU never stand or say, this is a good thing that farmers are doing. They never do. They always do not condone it. So we effectively, in this country, haven't had a union that represents us ever, really. We're not like
wow,
the French,
I didn't know
French.
that. That's amazing. Yeah, I didn't know that.
The NFU, the NFU, does that stand for no effing use?
Yeah, you got it. Exactly that.
Oh, okay.
Well done, Paul.
Lucky
10
guess.
points. Free wonky carrot in the post to you.
Yes.
Free wonky carrots. What if I want a box of toffees?
Hello. I want to butt in here, Paul. Patrick.
Hi.
Hi, Patrick. Hello, mate.
Hello, this is Patrick. Mr. F. Farmer, this is Patrick. He sometimes rocks up into the show, and he has done. Hi, Patrick.
Hello, Mr. F. Hello.
Hi, Patrick.
Yeah. We had something called the American Farmer Labor Organization. It was called the AFL, and then it met up with the CIO, and now it's the Democrat Party. So, yeah, it's pretty useless as far as what you're talking about.
I mean, doesn't
the labor union?
Yeah, doesn't that conform to Lenin's dictum that we will? The gist of basically we will lead the opposition, which is really what it is. So the NFU masqueraded initially as something that would be of benefit to farmers, and maybe in its early days it was. Then it makes a decision, and now it basically is gagging farmers. You're gagged. You don't get the sort of official support. There's no energy in the thing because they're literally working against the interests of farmers and just saying the union's more important than farmers. Something like that.
Yeah, 100%. The gent that started the NFU in Lincolnshire, it was.
Right.
Was a guy that went round to local farms and find farms on his bike and gave them this idea that they could have a union that would stand up for their rights as farmers. And as we know, everything that starts as good gets infiltrated by a group of absolute morons.
Yep.
And turns it and swindles it to something for their own gain. And that's what the NFU's become. And it's so top heavy now, with people getting paid stupid amounts of money. The amount, they're getting paid off by government. The chairman of the NFU is supposed to have no financial interest within the union, but his business, ironically, is building and putting up solar farms and buying farms to put solar farms on, and he got chair.
Well, I've never heard of anything like that before. That sounds a little bit dodgy. This must be the first time in history anything like that's ever happened. So, wow. It's not something, as you grow up, you don't really look into farming. It's just a given that your mum goes to the supermarket or wherever, local greengrocers when I was a kid and local butchers, and brings the stuff back. So obviously, Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that bad. So basically, the farmers are being oppressed on all sides. The government, and then the NFU is actually a covert, or you've seen it, agent for government policy to restrict it. I mean, the idea of solar panels, of course, is just it's chump. It's mad. They're a joke.
It gets even better.
Yeah, go on.
If you see my logo is a rip-off of the Red Tractor logo.
All right. Yeah.
Red Tractor was set up by the NFU to be the go-to standard. You know, everyone says they would like better labeling to know what is, made and supplied or produced in Britain.
Yes.
That's what the Red Tractor logo was for. But subsequently, they left the rule book really loose on it. So if something is landed in the likes of the Scilly Isles or Jersey, it can be packed there and then it becomes British. And they even changed it into, the last, 10, 15 years, that it can come onto mainland. It can be a chicken from a Romanian battery farm that gets packaged in Birmingham and suddenly is a British chicken.
I mean, okay, I didn't know that. I'm not surprised, really, I suppose, that all of these things get corrupted. But this seems to me part of this interdependence drive. So what they're doing, they're slowly wearing out national identity through all of these little things. It's death by 1,000 cuts. This is another one. So that people bumble along, pretending to themselves, and everybody pretends to them that, you're still living in Britain and it's operating like it used to. We're just having a bit of problems. But actually, it's part of a process to homogenize the whole world so that central authority organizations can control it. Like the United Nations can control the world and wars and so on like that. That's what this must be all about.
Steal property.
Yeah.
So
it's just another...
Our property, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think what our problem is we don't have inheritance like we once did in these countries. Hundreds of years ago, it would be passed on from father to son, and that contract has been torn up, and now it's whoever is in debt ends up the debt is collected by the debt collectors, and they become the property owners instead of the protection of the family. And you have that in your royalty with primogeniture laws that protect your royal family, but the families underneath it, all the plebeian type families don't have that protection, and that was given up in the 20s. I've been reading this about, it's called primogeniture and primogeniture laws. And in 1925 is when you finally gave up that right to pass on your property to your son and him to his son and have it protected by the government. Now, if you had that, you would have bigger families. You wouldn't have this worry about farmers losing property. I heard the other day, what was it on Eric's show, about the Outer Hebrides, where most of the shepherds up there that own sheep don't even own the land, and it's all owned by people in London. And they're just basically tenant farmers. And so it's
horrendous.
Yeah, it sounds
anyway.
But if you had that,
it's one of the biggest things going across the UK right now, which is rich people in London are buying farmland because they get a 20% reduction in their tax because they're paying 40% tax else, and then they lease it back to the farmer, or they take it over completely.
Yeah, and that how are you going to sustain that? How are you going to pass on that farm to the next generation of young people? You telling me that there's a lot of farmers, and it's the same here, that get depressed because it's like they spend all their time working and not raising their families, and then at the end they don't have families to pass it on to even. So it's the same type of thing. You're just working and not getting any benefit because you don't own the property, for one. And the solution to that isn't just more socialism. It's actually getting more property ownership among more people, and that's the key, I suppose. And if you had a means of doing that, like you're saying with this cryptocurrency, could be a means. But
they don't want you to own anything.
No,
they want to own everything. and they will lease it back to you. But you're not going to pass anything on to your ancestors. No, they're going to have to fend for themselves. I'm sorry. That's the rule. It's the rule of banking.
Well, BlackRock have got a £500 million war chest to buy British farmland. So I think they're expecting a big land crash.
Yeah, that's what they're doing in Ukraine. That's why they're committing these war crimes, because they want the property. That's good farmland. They're going to take it.
Well, it's the fact that they're being enabled and empowered to take it. It's, we're just everywhere you look, you've got people that have subscribed to globalism, whether they know it or not, and they're effectively doing what's the easiest route today. So there's no thought for the future or for where the real value lies. I mean, I'm just, these are platitudes, really, aren't they? But it's
Eric
true.
Always talks about his father's advice, or was it your father's or your uncle's, to watch out for the infiltrators in an organization.
I think Eric's hit the hay, actually. He's lurking in the backstage, but he may have left. I don't know. Yeah. So,
Paul, you were going to say cock up, weren't you?
What's that?
No, I'm here. I was booted out.
Well, yeah, I didn't boot you out. I thought you might. Yeah. But
no,
yeah,
it blanked out, so I've just come back again. Actually, it's my granddad that said...
It's nice to have you back for the last couple of minutes. We're about to close, but it's great that you're here. Lovely. Thanks, Eric.
Oh, that's very good. But no, what I was going to say is my granddad that said that, because he watched what happened in the 1920s and 30s when the Labour Party was completely infiltrated. And he witnessed it, and he always said to me when I was a kid, watch out for the infiltrators. And I've never forgotten it. And at the time, I didn't know what he's on about, but I do know now. And he was warning me what was going to happen in the future. But what I was going to say is, would you like to continue this show on Sunday, if you're around, Mr. F.M. Farmer, with Paul, or Monday? The choice is yours.
Yeah. Paul, I'll let you know tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine.
What day would be more suitable for you, Paul?
Probably actually Sunday. I think I might be able to. I don't know. I'll let you know tomorrow. I just don't know right now. A quick. First of all, we'll get some organised. I'm sure we can do it tomorrow, Eric, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. A slightly different show tonight. We've gone into things in quite a bit of detail, and I think that I've really enjoyed it, though. It's been a different sort of show. We're normally sort of zooming around and having a lot of laughs, and it's been great to focus on something solid and slowly build this up. I know what I'm going to do. I need to get you some BSV, Eric. So you need to start buying meat from Mr. F. I'm going to do that. We just need shops and places. I want to buy a sausage, yeah, we just need to put it into use practically, and the knowledge will come whilst we're using it. Not sort of like, I need to know it all and then I might buy one. No, just get in there for 12 quid, and that's what we want to do. We want to get going and see how it works. You'll come across problems.
I might have a word with Miles. I might have a word with Dr. Miles Fleetwood tomorrow, because I might pop over and have a word with him and see whether he's interested. Because he's anything like this that avoids, he can't stand the government. So, he's, by the way, the resident doctor, natural doctor, I hasten to add, on Fockham Hall Radio. So there we go. So we've got Fockham Hall and the
forget about me. I'd like to get some BSP too.
Yeah, I'll probably drop by tomorrow, Paul, and we can do a reprise of today. I'll probably drop by tomorrow if I've got some time to do that. It has been slightly technical tonight. If you sort of lost your way, that's good, because that shows you what the communications challenge is all about. It's considerable, but it can be overcome, and I think that's really what the challenge is. Any last words, Mr. F? I've got to come up with a better name for you the next time we do it, because we're down to a last minute. So anything you want to just sort of close on here?
Up the rebellion. I think it's time for rebellion.
Yeah. Well, I'm in for the restoration. I prefer restoration myself, because I'm pathetic and timid. I'm not really, but we want to restore that old way of life. Everything that we've touched upon is about all these things that used to work way, way better because they were ours and we were in charge of them. And we've got to find a process of getting back. Of course, it means we can't grumble as much. We've just got to work harder and start doing constructive things. But I think that's quite stimulating, actually.
You've got to rebel. You've got to rebel to restore.
I think this conversation's a sign of that. We want to throw off all this stuff that we never consented to. All that kind of stuff. That's it. We're out of time, gents. A really great show. It's been fantastic having you. And I'm looking forward to doing more things with you. And you've probably got to start thinking about your own show for an hour a week or something. So there's that. Everybody needs to get roped in. A shout out to everybody on YouTube and Rumble for being with us tonight. I think everybody's got something out of this. We won't sit on this topic solid every show, but it's been a bit of a theme for me for the last few weeks, and that's why we've been covering it tonight. I am personally quite stimulated by it, not as the ultimate panacea, but as a major tool that we can use here to sort things out and to give us something to do constructively. Everybody's included, and we'll see you all same time next week. So have a cracking week, and if you are so inclined, start to do a bit of your own digging into BSV and Craig Wright, if you're that sort of person, and if you are, that'll be great. Fantastic. Have a cracking week, everybody. We'll see you same time next Thursday. Bye for now. Bye-bye.